guys, I'm coming in here shortly, getting the last bits of my stuff together. And then it will be time to get underway. I have a rare draft pick ready to go. I got from Tomb Smasher. Or Earn Smasher. Tomb Smasher? The Minesweeper game. Oh, I just crashed again. That is a different game entirely. I apologize for that. Some background noise, stuff I gotta collect and close out. Alright, we'll be underway here in just a moment. And we're going to be continuing the listening to the podcast of my co-host on Shooting the Shite, AB. Sorry folks, having a few difficulties tonight getting everything set up. Mama said, honey child, you walk a lonely mile with your serpent tongue, your diamond eyes, and blood dripping from your smile. Oh, you're like a hard, hard rain. Alright, I think we're probably okay. I'm going to sign myself up, and I will be on in just a moment. Stay tuned. Ho, ho, ho! We are here and back, getting ready to go live. Let's go ahead and get this underway. Hopefully this isn't too loud. Let me know so I can adjust if necessary.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the second episode of the Unplugged podcast. And joining me today is someone that has been pretty instrumental to a lot of cases to, I guess, a big part of my personal run. The one, the only, Mr. Anton Garcia, sir, how are you?
Wow, what a crisp intro that
We're
was.
here.
Thank you.
Let's hope everything comes through good.
How
Let
are
me
we
check
doing,
out my
everybody?
audio's elsewhere.
9 o'clock. We're
Quick
out in
testing.
the world.
Be back in a
Just
second.
recorded a promo, and what a better time for us to shoot the shit, if you will, than do it after recording a promo. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. This is gonna be a fun one because we've got a lot of stuff we can talk about. As far as like stuff involving us personally that we were both involved in, but there's also a lot of stuff that I don't know about.
Okay.
And one of the things I said whenever I started this was I want to kind of get to know more of the history of people. And kind of find out like the humble beginnings or whatnot. So I'm gonna start
we're gonna go right into our very
I
draft
kind of want
pick.
to talk about with you the life before the eFed world. What kind of stuff were you doing before this magical fucked up little world of ours came
Seth freaking
into
Rollins.
your sights?
So in order for us to get to where we started off, let's go to the fact that I've been watching wrestling since 2006. I was born in 1999. I'm currently 23 years of age, and I've been watching wrestling since 2006. Since I was 6 years old. I remember the very first match I ever saw was the main event of the last Raw of 2006. It was John Cena and DX facing off against Rated RKO and Maga. And it was. I remember very vividly because it was New Year's Eve as well. It was the last day before 2007, and DX just got absolutely destroyed by Rated RKO, and I was watching it with my mom, and Filipino moms, Filipinos in general, they're very value oriented, and they really don't want, especially they don't want 6-year-old kids, and I understand, like they shouldn't have you don't want to have your 6-year-old kid watching this very your 6-year-old kid should be watching someone getting slammed in the head with a steel chair while he's lying on top of another steel chair on top of the announce table when he's gushing blood, right? That's kind of, I don't think a 6-year-old kid should be watching that, but I did, and it was such a visceral reaction that my mom got up from the couch, went in front of the TV, no remote, and just changed the channel manually. And she turned to me and said, "Don't be watching this stuff. This is too violent. Let's watch something else." And we watched The Simpsons. And
wait. You watched what now?
We watched The Simpsons. It was on Cartoon Network. For some reason, The Simpsons was airing on Cartoon Network in the Philippines on New Year's Eve after we watched this very violent segment regarding a guy getting his head smashed in with a chair on top of another chair, and it changes to this adult cartoon that my mom had no problem watching. So yeah,
because cartoons are obviously for children always.
exactly,
Duh.
especially cartoons such as The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that's how I
definitely.
got.
Yeah.
That's how I got hooked into wrestling, and like,
I have kind of
I
a
think
similar
that's.
story to that.
Hmm.
I was a year before. I was in 2005.
Hmm.
Um, I was probably about 6 because I was born in '98. So
Hmm.
so I was probably about 6 at that point. And my first show was the 2005 Royal Rumble.
Oh my God.
Yeah, my dad
Oh,
was really big into wrestling. My dad was really big into wrestling back then, and he's the one that got me hooked on it. So he had bought the Royal Rumble pay per view. So you know, going back and watching it years later, I
Hey,
remembered
thanks
the
for the
full
follow, Demon
card,
Slayer
but
2K23.
until I had rewatched it in full, the Rumble match and the casket match were the only matches I remembered.
so did 6-year-old you remember this old man prancing his way to the ring, sliding into it, and then just sitting down?
Yeah, and I'm like, because I think that was because that since that was my very first introduction to WWE and wrestling, I had no idea who the hell that was.
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
not realize this was the man running the show.
yeah.
I
And
just
he's
see this
just,
old man doing like this poofy fucking hair, doing like this half power walk, half run, and
yeah.
then slides in and then just falls down, and it's like, what the?
What is
So
this? I was
yeah, I'm like,
confused. Like
oh,
when I
okay.
saw that the first time, I was like,
Nice.
what happened here? And then
I
the
got
older
a
I got,
pair
I
of
the more
them
so.
now.
remember, you had
I'm working on building them
I
up.
remember, fucking Benoit, Guerrero, and Hardcore Holly beating up on poor little
Who?
Daniel Pewter.
Who?
Chris Benoit,
Who?
Mr. Wah. You remember?
I,
You
I,
remember
I don't know.
Crispin? You
I
remember
don't know.
Crispin?
Oh, Crispin. Oh, that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, Crispin.
That guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah.
Sorry,
So I remember.
sorry. The guy was never mentioned on my TV since like something happened in 2007.
Uh, I don't know, crazy stuff.
I,
But
I
yeah,
think I
them
was. I
beating
think
up
I was. I think we were
poor
conditioned to
little.
forget about him.
Yeah, but yeah, them just beating the crap out of poor little Pewter.
Yeah. Yeah, for
um,
trying to take down Kurt Angle.
yeah, right. I remember one of the
I
ones that
uh
stick
I
out to
like
me
the
the
pixel
most
one, and
was
I
when
used
Gene
one
Snitsky
from one of
almost
the
killed Paul
old
London.
um
Do you remember
older
that?
Oh, that's fine.
special
I don't remember
cards.
that spot.
So Paul London
That
had, I
one,
think Paul London had come out,
that
and you
picture.
remember Paul London, right?
Of course,
Like just full
he got
speed
he
run
got
down the
inducted to the
ring.
he got inducted recently into the GCW Indie Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah, love Paul. Paul London is one of my absolute favorites. And this match is a big reason why. Um, I remember he slid into the ring, but he was running so fast and had so much momentum, he slid all the way across the ring and almost slid all the way out to the other side. He was coming in with so much momentum that he damn near slid all the way through the ring to the other side. It was crazy. And then I don't think he was in very long, but Snitsky was in the ring. London was on the apron, and Snitsky was trying to like hit him off the apron, but London kept like ducking him and dodging him and running from side to side. And then Snitsky just catches him with a fucking clothesline. Dude does a full backflip and face plants on the ground. And they give him the stretcher treatment and everything. And people were just floored. They're like, oh my god, this dude's
Snitsky
dead.
killed him, man. Yeah, this
Snitsky
guy
That's
just
killed
the
him,
other
man.
killed him.
one.
But it
Yeah,
wasn't
he
his
killed him,
fault.
man.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
It's never
I-
his fault.
I also remember a very visceral reaction my aunt, she's no longer with us, gave when so there was this segment. It was the Cutting Edge. It was Edge, Orton, and they were feuding with DX at the time. And I think
Hey,
you
thanks for
might
following
remember this. They brought out
Mindhunter07.
Ric Flair, and you know Ric Flair.
Yeah.
He was almost lifeless. Me and my aunt were watching this like, is that
Yeah,
guy
I
dead?
do remember that because Ric Flair and Roddy Piper were tag champions for a
Yes, they were tag
bit. And
champs.
Rated
So
RKO
Edge-
beat them for the titles.
Yeah, so Edge and Orton they dragged this almost
Yeah.
dead Ric Flair because I think DX wasn't in the show, and I remember I remember. I think it was
Might have been
Orton that
still
hit
doing
the.
stuff with the McMahons.
Yeah, I think Orton hit the concerto first on Flair, and my aunt just yelled at me, said, "Why are you watching this stuff?" Yeah. Needless to say, like Filipino parents,
Yeah.
they didn't like at least
I just realized
back
I'm kind of misremembering certain things because I remember watching some of the Raw episodes leading up to Royal Rumble. I only had Raw. I didn't have the channel that SmackDown was on.
Oh, I think it was
When I was a
UPN.
kid.
I think.
Yeah, I didn't have UPN. My grandmother had UPN though, so she would
Yeah.
record the shows on VHS tapes, and then she'd come visit every weekend, and then just deliver me stacks of fucking SmackDown tapes. I still have those tapes to this day.
Yeah. Wow. Do they still work?
Yeah, they should.
Oh,
Um,
VHS. Oh, VHS players. Though.
First
Those are
card
fucking ancient
out.
at this point.
yeah, but
I don't
man,
think
one of
my
these days I
ability
just want to
triggered
find
though.
one of those and just like hook it up and like just go back and watch it that style for a change. Just
Yeah, you can't do anything with that. Well, the event's going.
nostalgia.
Well,
But
if you finish the
what I was
heroic,
saying
you
was
can
I'm
do it.
misremembering because I did catch some of the Raw episodes like leading up to Royal Rumble, but
Mm-hmm.
there's only really one
At least that's
moment
the way it
I
used to be.
remember that
I
had
haven't
me
pulled off an
hooked,
event
and
card
it
in a very
was
long time.
Vince tearing his quads.
no, it was actually. Do you remember the Kane and Snitsky feud over Kane
Was
and
it about?
Lita's
Was it
dead
about
baby?
the kid? Was it about the kid?
Yeah,
I remember.
Kane and Lita's dead baby.
I remember they aired the episode where Snitsky kicked the kid.
Yeah, kicked the baby doll into the crowd.
Yeah.
Well, there was one time I don't remember if they were having a match or if they were just fighting, but
There we
like
go. Still got
they
it.
might have just been having like a match and like they were brawling and they were going all the way up on the stage, and at one point like they're probably like teetering at the very, and this is when they still had like I guess the bigger stages.
I haven't played enough
So
to
they
get
were good, I
any
don't
of
know,
the
5,
major
10
cards here.
feet
I did get the BFAB,
Yeah.
which was a tier
above the like
1
the ground off the
fortified
stage,
for me.
and they're like
Yeah.
teetering up against the
But
stage,
it's
and
not
at one
something
point
that I'm going to be
Kane
using
has
regularly.
Snitsky by the throat at the edge of the stage, and I don't know what he's saying to him, but I just see like the look in this guy's face, just screaming at him, and then they just go flying off the stage into like the equipment boxes, and I'm like, oh my god! And then I think
That was lucky
yeah, and
for
then
them.
I think WrestleMania 21 really sealed the deal for me.
Ooh, that's a good first WrestleMania.
We saw Mania 21 a few months later, and
That's a good one.
that
That's a
one
good first WrestleMania
really
to have.
sealed it. So yeah,
My first WrestleMania was 23. That was when
that's a
that was
really
when
good
Sean
one,
faced
too.
Cena. That's when Sean faced
Yeah.
Cena.
that was the big
That was
like
really good.
I remember
And-
that was the Vince Trump hair versus hair match, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you know the best part about that was we got all WWE pay-per-views on cable TV for free.
You're shitting me, really?
Yeah, so there's this channel,
Oh, wow.
channel 51. It's called Jag TV. Not only would they air Raw, SmackDown, they also aired fucking ECW.
Really?
It was
Old
a few hours.
ECW or the WWE?
No, like
version?
WWE CW.
Okay.
Shit ECW. But
Yeah.
they would air the pay-per-views the day of live. Like live. Like
That's
for free. And then they would air it on replay at like 10 p.m. and obviously 7-year-old me wasn't allowed to stay up at 10 p.m. because that was too late. Every summer, every time it was summer break, I would watch. I remember all the pay-per-view cycles. I'd be able to watch WrestleMania, Backlash, Judgment Day, and that was during like the start of Kali's run, and a One Night Stand as well when Orton killed RVD.
Oh yeah, that was the 2007 One Night Stand, wasn't it?
And also I got to witness Pete Durag Vids
Oh yeah, Durag
as ECW champion. That was some big cool memories there. Yeah, so like years. The years progressed, the more I got into it, the more I understood like wrestling wasn't real. And the more I understood that wrestling was a TV show, and that these people were essentially like acting. That's kind of what got me into acting as well. And that's when I started like watching basically everything that came from your neck of the woods. I started watching all sorts of like sitcoms because I was very addicted to sitcoms. I remember watching the entirety of Friends, seasons 1 to 10, all in like an entire week span,
Wow.
like nonstop. And I was just so into like American culture and stuff that like the way I'm speaking right now, like this is like natural. So like now
Yeah.
whenever like I speak normally to people, I can convince them that I'm not a Filipino.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't believe it if,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's also what got me into the theater acting. So like I'm high school theater trained. I think
Okay,
the
so
best
you were
way.
a theater kid.
Yeah, I am a theater kid, movie kid, like cinephile. I was a cinephile basically, and wrestling was a big catalyst for that. And I think that's sort of that plus my acting, my high school training in theater. I think that's what sort of transitioned into. I guess we're about to get into how I got into this shit.
Uh-huh.
We're
Yeah,
about
because that was
we're
going to be
about to
the
get into
follow-up.
there. Yeah. So along the way, I met this guy. We're calling him Tom. You know what?
Blue,
I'm gonna say his full name.
907.
This guy named Tom Collier. Now, what most people don't know is that I've been friends. I was friends with this guy long before he invited me onto this hobby. So
Okay.
our mutual interest back then was Marvel Comics and Magic the Gathering. I'm sure you're
Okay.
very aware of Magic because Magic the Gathering is big in this country. Like I had no idea it's big in this country.
Yeah,
You
I've
have
heard of it.
people that will pay like a lot of money for a lot of rare cards, and there are
Oh yeah, people are
tournaments and shit.
crazy over Magic. People are
Yeah,
absolutely crazy over Magic.
and I had no idea that there were even tournaments being done on certain formats
Yeah,
on my
dude.
local malls. I had no idea that this game was big here. So we bonded over that, and we also bonded over wrestling. And I think
Okay.
what sort of attracted me towards him was that every Facebook post that this guy did was kayfabe. Like he's using all the insider terms and shit. It's like, oh, I met this chick and I put her in the cross space, and I use this playlist when I'm on my heel run, and then I use this playlist when I'm on my baby face run. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Why are you talking like you're a part of this shit? And then sometime later, we were talking shit on like we were like bantering on one of like I think this was before WrestleMania 31, something like that.
I got your
And then he just straight up
comment
comments
pins
like,
for
"Yo,
my benefit,
there's
so
this
I
thing
can
that I
mine
do.
Hunter 07 to go
Do
check
you
out.
mind? Like, I'm gonna send you something. See if it's good." It's
I like
him.
the little movements there, just like I got
It's
this thing.
him. So it's him in his college locker room, like this,
Uh-huh.
and then he's just talking shit about someone. Like it's like this.
Uh-huh.
In this angle. Behind him is this locker room, and he's cutting a promo on someone. I completely forgot what he said, but he's cutting a promo on someone. And I think this was very early on when like this version of eFeds that we're accustomed to was just like starting to find its footing. And he's like, "Yo, what do you think?" I was like 15 years old. I didn't fucking know what a fucking good promo was by the standards. I just thought it was cool. Just like, shit, okay, it's all right. And then I watched back a couple of years later,
Is he?
and just talking about nonsense, and then just a bunch of shit.
That's probably what I'm guessing. A
He
lot of
mentioned pulling the Lesnar.
just kind of people
Yeah.
just
Or
like
getting the
saying
Lesnar.
shit. There wasn't
Um,
really.
Yeah, we were just
I
saying
get
shit.
the vibe from like the few people that I've gotten really kind of into it with, like as far as like into it meaning like that in-depth history, they all
Mhm.
kind of speak a similar tongue that the early years of like the video fed stuff was
Mhm.
very wild.
There was no formula. There was no standard.
Yeah, like there wasn't
Because it
really
was the Wild
there
West.
wasn't really anyone like you've got today.
Yeah, because it was the Wild West because it was literally just starting. I remember when I was added to CPW, that was the first fed that I was actively involved in, and Collier was helping me out create a character. It was like, what is this? It's like, yeah, it's a bunch of wrestling fans that can't really do this actually, but we pretend like it's role play. That's what I found out. It's role play. We're role playing as wrestlers. So it was like, and then we cut a promo and shit like that. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm an actor. I think I can do this. Okay, like what do I got to do something? Like, get a camera. Like just get a camera. I don't know what I didn't have a good phone at the time, and the closest thing to a camera I got was an old ass Samsung tablet, and my laptop that I had with me since like first year of high school, with the webcam, and literally, the first character that I created was a guy wearing like I wanted to like disguise my face. It got destroyed now. It was like a Flash painted face mask or eye mask, and I took 2 action figures with me, and I would talk to them.
Okay.
And pretend like my action figures were like my. It was essentially like first rendition of Mankind, but also like with a twist of Bray Wyatt, because I was speaking ominously and shit like that.
So you were very much like more of like a character.
Yeah,
than,
I was more of a character.
Then you were more of a character than one of the shit talkers.
I was more of a character. Yeah. Like and then I did like one take on it, and then I realized it wasn't really what I was looking for. And then Tom added me to CPW Championship Promo Wrestling, one of the pioneer. I'll say it. It's the pioneer. It's the original of what the modern day video e-fed is like. Cause that's where it all started, at least for me, basically. And I was seeing all these people, and they were so, like at 2015 standards, they were so good. Like they were able to like stand their camera, and they were speaking so well, and like, oh shit, they had like personality. Like that's what I wanted. I wanted to have a personality. Not just be like
I
the
had
guy
those
who talks to the camera. I want to have a personality. It's like, okay, what can I do to take this character differently? So, the first guy that I faced in CPW was a guy named Cody Webb, and his gimmick is essentially he's an outlaw. He talks like an outlaw, he dresses like an outlaw, and his moveset is reflective of that of an outlaw. So
when you say outlaw, you mean like Wild West outlaw, like cowboy?
Yeah.
Or what?
He literally called himself the Outlaw, Cody Webb. And at that time, he was the Intercontinental Champion, the CPW Intercontinental Champion. And for some ungodly reason, Tom had some pull and had him face
Three Cody Rhodes
in my first match ever.
Okay.
And I saw how this guy was promoting, and obviously like, he's a champion there. So I had to do something, right? So I was watching. This is when I was like into sort of like my TNA phase, because I was slowly drifting away. I was slowly drifting away from WWE because I was sort of getting jaded from the product because I thought it was so hokey and so not my style as I got older.
I went through the same thing, bro. Same thing.
And what sort of drew me was Sting, but not just any Sting. This was Joker Sting.
Yes.
And I was binging a bunch of Joker Sting stuff, and I'm like,
and that's such a fun run to binge.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that gimmick. I don't know why. It's my favorite rendition of Sting.
Cool. It was so different. Like Sting was always like Sting is like, he is one of the most fascinating people to watch because he's had so many like really interesting character changes over his career. You know, he started, had the whole like Surfer Sting, the traditional baby face. Then he went as sort of like the anti-hero Crow Sting and was all like serious and brooding.
Fighting the NWO.
Then like, kind of that the
don't turn your back on the Wolfpack.
Wolfpack, and then he kind of, the vibe I got from the majority of his TNA run was just kind of that grizzled veteran. figure, and then Joker Sting happened.
Yeah,
and completely changed shit. And
I
it was
remember,
so fun.
I vividly remember the segment that sort of clicked. It's like, shit, I can do that.
Damn.
Was when he had a match against Mr. Anderson, and
I think I
and
remember
like
that.
Anderson he was on the ramp. He was
I lost.
he was about to do his thing, and then Sting comes out, and his paint is completely fucking messed up. And then he grabs the mic from Anderson, and then he just yells like, "Anderson!"
Yes,
And
I
then he just
remember
starts
that because Anderson sees there doing his whole from Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mr. Anderson.
And,
Fucking beautiful, love it.
and that's what hooked me. Like, oh shit! I'm like, oh shit! I gotta do that. So I scrambled around my basement trying to find whatever sort of face paint I could get, and then I was like, fuck it, whatever. I got like a mixture of colors, and I kept painting my face, whatever, to make me look like the most insane dude possible. And then this is how bad it was. I didn't have a camera, so I used my laptop webcam, and this was the thing. And I didn't use like my actual, like this was what I consider like, because like my thought process was like, shit, they're not gonna hear me if I don't have like a proper microphone. That the speakers probably won't pick that up. I need to use an actual microphone. So I wear this, I have the get up, and I just yelled at the camera. All there was just yell and scream at the camera and just imitate whatever sort of tropes I got from binging Joker Sting.
Oh, yeah.
And people lost their fucking minds.
Oh yeah.
I got the win. It worked. I beat him by popular vote, whatever the fuck that means.
Wow.
I beat him, non-title. Then we faced again for the title. I beat him again, and then I had this like little mini run. So I called myself the Marksman.
So it's not this one?
Because I wanted to have a cool name. So yeah, so I called myself the Marksman, and it's essentially what it was. The Marksman was essentially my version of Joker Sting. That was my first defense gimmick ever.
Nice.
Yeah, big shout out to Cody Webb. That without him, I wouldn't be here. Without that guy,
I don't know why, but that name sounds vaguely familiar for some reason. I don't know why, but I feel like I've heard that name somewhere before.
Cause like we'll get to like we'll get to somewhere, because like I was supposed to do it at IW, but you know we'll get there. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so
Right.
I had the success in CPW. I had obviously it was comp at the time, you know, because like early video events, like
picture.
You hear the word predetermined.
I love the Oscar.
You're probably gonna get blacklisted. That's how
I love the design.
That's how anti storyline driven early EFEDs were. Do you want to know what the reasoning for it was? It's favoritism. People like if you were a part of a predetermined set, none of your wins were quote unquote earned, or none of your championships felt earned. So apparently in their minds, if you scored a perfect 10, you're world championship material. That's how people would decide if you're world championship material or not, is if you had a high enough score against like the best of the best, quote unquote, instead of not telling the story. So, but that's just how it was. That's just how it was back then. It was just a mixture of both competitive and like
wrestling role play that didn't even follow the like actual like concept of how wrestling behind the scenes actually works.
There were feds that tried
because it's also
to do
not
that tried to mix
but it just was very frowned upon, right?
They were. So the compromise was you mixed in storylines while also maintaining the competitive aspect of it. So basically, it's like the story goes week by week. So it's like the next part of the story happens whether this guy wins or this guy loses. It just all depends on whether this guy wins or this guy loses. Okay. Nothing was long term. It was always week by week. That was the compromise, and I think that was like I think that was the standard, at least from 2015 to 2016, because you had feds like BST, IPW. Well, again, one of the these are not like OG feds I'm talking about. I think like the only people that will understand this is Mullins, because he's one of the only people besides me that were a part of that time that is still
Yes,
actively
your
doing
whole
this to
desk.
this day. So
She's
if
a
Mullins
manager.
ever watches this, he's probably
I've
gonna
talked to her a few
take a
times
trip
on
down
here.
memory lane with some shit like that.
Um, they have
Pure
that's why I
PW,
have her in the team deck.
UPW, and then like you
I
have people
been
like
throwing trying to build the
back then
equipment
like
on her
Matt
around
Minnick. I'm
triggering
sure
the ability more
you know
and
who
having
fucking
more
Matt Minnick
Oh
abilities.
is.
yeah. I think he was
He's
kind of getting. I think he was kind of going as I was coming. There was a
yeah. So
lot
he
of
was
people that like I saw at the very tail end of their runs, and I think he was one of
yeah
them.
yeah like very early on it was Matt Minnick, Prince Havoc, Brian Carr, not PW or Brian Carr, like a BRI Canadian Brian Carr is what we call him now.
Canadian
Like Collier,
Brian.
yeah, Mullins. Even back then, like the promo style that you see from Mullins
he's
today, it's still this. He hasn't changed. It's still the same promo
he's
style
just
from what he had it back then.
this is what I like to say about he's just a simple country
He's just
boy.
Mullins, yeah.
and
Brett
and
Litke,
but
Dylan
one of my favorite things I gotta divert here. One of my favorite
Yeah.
things a few months back, I was just like scrolling the IW page once, and I saw this
Mhm.
Mullins promo, and I
Mhm.
clipped this moment in particular,
Oh
and it's
shit.
just lived with me forever. He's just
Oh
like
shit.
going on talking about how I think the vibe he was trying to go with was he was trying to play up the common man, right? The whole common man
Oh.
shit, I guess. And he's just going on, and he's like, "No, I'm just a simple kind of guy. I'm just a simple country boy, and I love food." With
I
the
think that was. I think that was the start of. I think I wasn't back yet at that time. I think I was still.
I don't know.
I was still trying to find peace with my. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We're
like
kind of
those
jumping
types of
ahead
early.
just a wee
Yeah,
bit.
those types of early feds, and then, like one of the ones that I think will stand out to me the most is this fed called Titans of Promo Wrestling (TOPW). It was ran by
Shanti.
Shikuma. Well, we're not that close anymore because I think he stopped talking to me once I became loyal to IW. He's one of the many anti-IW detractors, shit like that. And, like
Gotcha.
one of the big attractions that I think the TOPW is the fact that Shikuma is actually in the wrestling business. So like he's not only a super fan, but he also has these connections. And I think the biggest connection that we had at the time was I think you'll appreciate this more than most other people. Was that we had Rick Knox come in and do a couple of stuff for us.
Oh yeah.
PWG and AEW referee Rick Knox, and
Wow.
yeah, and
Rick fucking Knox.
yeah, so that guy Rick Knox, and he joined the community, and he was actually really appreciative of it, and also like not only Rick Knox, I think the biggest one that we got was we had Trevor Murdoch come in and
No
be a part
shit,
of an
really.
event match for us. Yeah, he faced this guy named Walter Main and Shanti Shakuma actually had he pulled me into a group chat with Trevor Murdoch, and he basically pulled in like a couple of people to help explain to Trevor Murdoch what it is exactly that we do here.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that.
We had to explain to Trevor Murdoch what EFED was. It was like, what am I doing in my life to where I'm in a Facebook group chat explaining to fucking former WWE World Tag Team Champion and future NWA World Champion Trevor Murdoch about what the fuck is
What
that
is
we
life?
do here?
Yeah,
what
what is
is
life?
I was 16 years old. I was 16 years old at that time.
Wow.
I think that was like the peak of my wrestling fandom. Was like, shit, I get to talk to Rick Knox and Trevor Murdoch.
Hell yeah.
Peak
Love
of my
that.
fandom at that time. Yeah. Yeah, that was the early days. It was basically like the Wild West. There was really like no standards set for video fets at the time. It was the Wild West. It was like
Yeah.
whatever rules people tried to set that they thought were considered fair, people just copied and followed. Like, people would say like the wildest shit, like the wildest shit. Like you had no idea.
When would you say the shift started between like the heavy like random shit talk and the more like story driven stuff, like big, like what we kind of have more of now? Because when I first started breaking into video, was in like mid 2018, really. I had like a short stint on video in like
I do not think I will be making it
like
to or through Braun Breaker. I took too long to get started.
But like 2018 was when I really started getting into it.
Really get going.
That's when you had some, there was a lot of like, there was still a good chunk of like the heavy shit talkers, but I feel like it was kind of on its last legs of that era into a new era.
I think for me, I started noticing like the standards being set mainly when people started learning about what IW was. Because
road seemed to go back there, doesn't it?
Yeah, because like, I mean, I think now we can sort of get into it. Like, I personally feel like IW was the first fed of its kind, as like this purely storyline driven fed that in like the early days of it was so frowned upon, and like it took me a minute to sort of understand like fucking pro wrestling's predetermined. Like fucking WWE picks their winners 6 months in advance. Like they know what they have like a long-term game plan. Why can't we do that here?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, the sort of stint for behind the scenes wrestling is that, card is subject to change, but a lot of stuff is planned out months ahead of time.
Exactly. So it's not about like who wins or loses.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's just about putting on a show.
Yeah, not only that, it's about telling a story.
Yeah, telling a story, putting on a show, and having fun.
Yeah, so like I think this was the end of 2016, and I was getting burned. I was getting tired already because I was in 2 different feds, and I was facing the same guy in 2 different feds. I think it was the exact same match as well. And I was getting tired. And I was getting tired of the formula. It's like, ugh, shit talk this way. But I was very limited. Like even now, I was very limited to what I can do creatively, because at that time there was like 5 different people living in the house, same as me. I can't just take my tablet and go downstairs and yell at the camera, because people are gonna come outside and shush me mid-recording and take me off my vibe. So I didn't want to do that because I was kind of embarrassed enough already that people were knowing that I was doing this as a hobby, and I just wanted something different. I was just sick of promo, get score, that determines your direction. I didn't want that. I wanted something different.
And that's when IW came into the picture.
That's when IW came into play. Like, were you aware of Legion?
Yes.
The big Braun Strowman like.
I never. He was one of the ones I never did anything with, but I had seen him around. I'd watched some of his stuff, and I'm like, hey, he's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, one of the big pioneers of modern of what a modern video e-feder should be like, because I think he was one of the first people that valued production on his work and valued editing, because his shit would be edited, and like he'd have like background music and stuff. At that time, no one was really doing it because nobody knew how to. Nobody had nobody knew how to fucking do that shit. It was him and one other person that was like that. I think like Legion figured it out first before everyone else just followed. And he transitioned from competitive feds to storyline feds. And I was in IW. And at that time he saw something in me, I guess, and he brought me into the group, and he went out of his way to message me, hey man, I think you're really gonna enjoy it here. It's not judged, there's no judges, it's pure storyline based, no pressure on anybody, just go out there, have fun. and I got into the group. The first promo I saw out of IW was like the aftermath of Adam Cage cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase to become the IW World Heavyweight Champion. And the first promo I ever saw was Adam Cage celebrating his IW World Championship victory. I was December 2016, and I saw that. I'm like, who is this guy? I've never seen this guy before. And then that's when the whole can of worms opened up. That's when I saw all these unique characters.
Mind blown. It's like that gif of the guy with the gif of the guy that's going like, Pwah!
Yeah. So my mind was
that guy.
Who are these people? And these guys were good.
Yeah,
they were
it's
good.
kind of crazy. Like hearing this is like our stories are actually pretty similar. Because when I had like sort of my brief video run in 2017, me and some friends had this group called SWA, Star Wrestling Association, and we had like 6 people. We when it started, there was this other fed that I don't remember what it was called, but there was this fed that had come up and like offered to do like sort of like a little partner thing with us. So they had like brought all of their roster, and so like we had barely been started for a couple days and had like over 100 people on the page.
Jesus Christ!
And then our very first card, we pissed them all off, and they all left that on that very first card.
Because they all lost.
Well, what happened was, so the story with that is, there was this guy who was having it was a main event, and there was this one guy who was part of the other show versus someone that I don't remember who brought this girl in, but she was really good.
Pretty good.
She is someone who, if she would have stuck around, she would have been big. I believe she was going. I don't remember. I think her
listening to my buddy's podcast.
Her name was like Nicole
playing in the background,
or something like that.
This was a woman.
Yeah, and she was good.
Oh man.
But here's the thing. So, because I think one of the things we had done before it even started was we had like one of the things that we were personally requesting roster members do was, before anything else, post a promo and introduce yourself to us. Show us what you got. Before we did anything, before we even set anything up, everyone had to do at least one promo. So I know we saw her, and we're like, holy shit, this chick is like main event. And the first card we only had like 3 match cards. So it was this girl. It was Nicole versus this other guy. Hollywood Cream was his name, and he was pretty good too.
Shit.
So I'm I was looking. Does that name ring a bell to you?
Should have put the time there. Yeah, I didn't go too far into it.
Hollywood Cream. That's a very unique
interesting name, right?
Very interesting name.
Good too. He was pretty good too. Like he had this really, he almost had this like Cat Williams like energy to him, you know. He was really fascinating to watch, and I was really looking forward to it. And then I remember, at one point,
I might be doing.
He did one of those things where you're promoing against a girl and you make a bunch of
I got it maximized last week.
One of those people.
Well, here's the thing. This is where it takes a turn. She was 15.
I won't be getting it.
Oh, so she was us.
Yeah, she was a fucking kid.
I do need to do.
And this guy's making these really just very like raunchy comments about this
stuff that probably would not be accepted. Well, stuff that probably would pass for today's standards.
Yeah. So I remember me and the guy who were judging that match specifically went to him and was like, "Hey man, nothing personal, you know. We're not like trying to start shit, but just so you know, this chick is underage and you're saying some really rough shit. Maybe tone it down a bit." And he got pissed. He's like, "Why the fuck y'all got fucking kids in this page, man? What the fuck? This is bullshit." So then he left, and then everyone else left with him. So then we only lasted like 3 shows. We only did like 3 shows.
Damn.
With like a 5 or 6 person roster. I ended up having to start doing like, I was only going to be like a judge. But I ended up like competing as well.
Participating.
So,
oh man, that's how you know it's rough.
Yeah, so for a good few years, actually, fun fact, for a good few years until I think Agon, I was technically undefeated in comp. Because I think I won every match in SWA I was a part of. Although one of them was a no-show. One of them was no-show, so kind of on a curve, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, going from being in a fed with like where you're often facing the same people every card.
Oh, I like that image on that card.
One day I had taken a long break from video fed and I was just doing written feds for months. With one of the other, once SWA fell apart, me and one of the other guys who was in charge of SWA, he told me about this written fed he was doing called AXW. Anonymous Extreme Wrestling.
Anonymous.
So I got in there, I came up, and it had the whole anonymous thing too. Like it had like, you know, the Guy Fawkes mask and everything. It played that up, and it was very like underground, grungy type, really cool stuff actually. It was a fun spot. So I came up with this like completely different character from the one I was doing. The character I was doing in SWA was I used the name Arthur Price, but it was very much TJ Blair. The character I was doing in AXW was completely different. It was like this cruiserweight, high flyer, rock star type gimmick, and it went for a while. But then I got tired of writing, so then I'm like, you know what? I want to try to do videos because you know I missed cutting promos. So I remember I went. I think it was the eFed Central page. When that was a thing.
eFed Central, Jesus.
Yeah, that's a throwback, right? And I'd been like, is there any like video feds out there that are looking for anyone? Because I miss doing like promos. And, you know, a few people had messaged me. There was, I can't remember all of them, but for some reason, the one that stuck out to me was a guy by the name of Justin Klein.
Oh, shit!
Yep.
That's another OG.
Yeah, and he's the one that brought me in, and it kind of like you, like get in here and you see like all these like so many different people, and it's like just crazy talents just left. I'm like, holy shit! And then the first thing I do when I get into IW is work a fucking 3-match program with Jack Arson.
I mean, looking back at it at that time.
And you know, I don't mean to say that to sound like it's a dig, because you know, we know that guy had his issues, but when he was on and he was good, and
yeah,
he had
exactly.
and I had some of my best early matches with him, like those, like the third match, we had a best of 3 series. The third match was a last man standing, and that was the match that got people like, you know, Dyer and Nick looking at me. So yeah, he did kind of play a part. I don't know whatever happened to him, but yeah, our stories are very much similar.
Yeah.
I think.
So, yeah, that's
at least up to this point.
Yeah, so like I started seeing guys like Pitbull, IW Legend, James Park. Oh my, there's so much stuff that I'm gonna discuss about James Park later, of how much that guy has meant so much to me, both on a professional and a personal level. So we'll park him there for now. Adam Cage, yeah, Adam Cage, and then as I got my foot into like the gas and stuff, that's when I met guys like. That's why I started talking to like when Legion introduced me to David and Keith, and David was very, at least when I first met him, he was very open about what IW is, about what the process is about, but Keith was the one that really sold me in on the idea. Keith was the one that sort of like helped me fully understand what the difference between IW was compared to everyone else. And so
Mhm.
there were two brands, Alpha, Omega. I was brought onto Omega because even back then, Omega was just the forming system for Alpha. That's just what it was.
Mhm.
Like you weren't really considered elite till you were an Alpha. That's just what it was. And
Right.
I got in there. I cut the first promo I did, which was I walked into that room over there. You can't see, but I walked in my old room over there, and I walked in. I wore my college rain jacket, and I sold the show like something like, "Damn, this locker room smells like balls." And I started like putting Legion over, and I started saying like all this bunch of different stuff, and it got a big reaction. I got a lot of reactions, and I got a lot of compliments. And that's when Keith and David were messaging me like, "Damn, you're good. Why don't you come over to Omega and like really own your craft?" And I was supposed to go on this big run on Omega. Keith was telling me that I was supposed to be booked as Omega's Goldberg because apparently
Really?
my style was so different compared to everyone else. I think it's just because I was able, because like the older I got, the more I was able to sort of adjust my voice to where I could speak loudly, but not necessarily yell.
Right. Yeah.
So I was able to project my voice.
That's a fun trick once you learn how to do it.
Yeah, so like I was able to project my voice to where I could speak so confidently and
Yeah.
aggressively, and that came across really well across my stuff, and I was supposed to be booked really well until David came. It's like, nah, you're better than all this. Come on over to Alpha. You'll be part of this tag team tournament to crown the first tag team champions, and I was teamed up with Chris Connolly. We were I
Okay.
forgot what our team name was, but we were originally slated to win the tag. I was supposed to be the first Alpha Tag Team Champions with Chris Connolly.
Really? Oh yeah.
Until
What happened?
until David messaged me like, "You want to be part of the administration?" Which is their version of the corporation. And I'm like,
I was administration was still a thing when I came in. Yeah, I remember.
yeah, yeah. And he was like, "You want to be part of the administration? You're good enough. Be part of the administration." I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm in with the boss. This will probably give me good opportunities. And then the more I started seeing guys like Cody Fox, Nappy, Legion, Jack Arson, and the House of Wolves, Carnage, Zach, Deacon. He was still going by Deacon at that time.
Mhm.
And Draven. When those guys started coming in, it just opened up.
It just the
And
game fucking changed. Like
game changer.
those guys like that kind of list of people.
Yeah.
Specifically like the ones that kind of stick out to me more than anything are your your legions, your arsons, your wolves. Those
Yeah.
guys.
Oh,
are
hey, thank you.
One of those just like.
I think those guys completely opened the floodgates. And it's like
Mhm.
once they came into IW and once they like saw that
Grinding
now
out
this
the
now
matches
the House of
necessary
Wolves,
for
these guys
these
they're
undertakers.
shooters. Like they want to come at you. They'll come
Yeah.
at you. And
Yeah,
then
and I'll tell you, like one of my first big matches on Alpha was with Zach, and he showed no fucking mercy to me.
Exactly.
He
And they
showed me
came
no
in-
fucking mercy, but
Right.
I gave it right the fuck back to him.
Yeah. and that's what convinced them to stay was the fact that these guys were keeping up with them and
Yeah.
giving them back full in kind. And that's what convinced shit, this place is legit. Let's stay here. And then once word started getting out that hey, this is for guys like Legion and the Wolves are playing, Jack Arson's playing, that's when the buzz started coming in. And that's when
Yeah.
the floodgates opened, and that's when it really got big. And I think that's what sort of started the process of okay, this is what an EFED should be like.
Yeah.
And I think it was on that in that era. I think that's what sort of like solidified IW as like, okay, this is the standard for what an EFED should be like. If your EFED is half as good as what IW is presenting itself to be, don't bother creating EFED because it's not going to be able to live up to the standards and quality and star power of what early IW was, at least to me, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody was doing it in the way that IW was. Not a single Fed that I was part of before I came to IW was doing it the way IW was.
Hmm.
It was
I remember.
free. I felt free.
Yeah, because one of the things I remember whenever I was looking, whenever I started actively looking for a video place to join, I was specifically looking for something that kind of mirrored the format we were looking for with SWA,
Hmm.
and
Not much.
IW
Very
minus
disappointed I
one
haven't gotten
thing.
the Undertaker card out here yet.
Pretty much
Trying to grind
checked
some
off all the
matches.
boxes. The only thing IW did not have that SWA had
Work
was
on my
judging.
my dust
Yeah.
meter.
We did
And-
judging in SWA. IW didn't. I'm like,
Not going well.
hey,
Listening to my buddy's
well, this is
podcast.
still, like,
I'm recording with him in the morning.
spot on. This
And I
sounds
think-
like this
so
sounds
I
like
might be idea to do a
exactly
little
what
bit
I'm
of
looking
research.
for. Just kind of,
And that's what won me over. Right? That's
He
what won me
also
over. It's not-
co-hosts
no one was judging.
Shooting the Shit with me on
There's no
Wednesday nights.
fucking bullshit scores that determines who wins or loses a match. Do you know what determines a winner or loser of the match? The story.
No.
That's it. If the story determines that this guy should win, this guy should win. And also,
Brock,
obviously,
finally.
of course, you had to work. And like, it's one of the many misconceptions people had at the time. It's like, oh, you're in a predetermined Fed, which
Oh,
means people aren't going to work as hard because they're not going to be scored. Wrong.
We're fucking
Wrong.
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 Yes.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Especially since
People
it's
were
predetermined.
busting it.
Your number one priority is to tell a story. And my
Yes.
God, people were promoting their asses off because they wanted to tell a story. They were
Yeah.
promoting better than most people were just shit talking. If people were
he's
just
not gonna
in
get the
the
win.
competitive
Probably gonna
Fed
match
nature
on
were
him.
just shit talking, these guys, even back then, like even when you
He did
came
get the
in,
win. He did get the
they
win.
were cutting wrestling promos
Yeah.
because they were telling a story. And
Right.
that's what won me over. Was people were telling a story. They weren't talking shit. They were talking
Yeah.
shit with substance. That's what won me over. And I think even to this day, people still don't understand that. It's kind of sad.
A little bit. Yeah, I remember when
not
I
losing
was for like the first couple years of me being
I didn't even
in
need to.
IW, like we didn't really.
I had this feeling that like he had a fucking
Yeah.
I was
A
I
good
remember
card
I
waiting
done a
right there
few
till the
months in
end.
Delta on like the
was just
off-season,
wearing me
and
down
then
before he
when
threw
the
it so he
season
gets the 3 points and be able to pull out the win.
Fucking David booted me straight to fucking alpha.
I overestimated it.
And did Rapture with Carnage and the Saints. Did Filth, which that was like a fucking crazy thing that has really set a lot of shit in course for me just to this day. Is the Filth connection with all those guys. And then I think it was like right at the end of 2019 into 2020 is when I had enough of the shit on Alpha and said, I want to fucking change. I took a break. I took a few months off, and then was like, I went to David and was like, you know, I'm good to come back. I don't want to go to Alpha though, because in my opinion, there was like I was kind of in that pattern of kind of like
Lost in the shuffle.
Well, not so much lost in the shuffle, just doing the same shit
Yeah.
over and over again. It felt like I was just kind of in a loop, and I wanted to change it up, and I was asked, you want to go to Omega or do you want to go to Delta? And I thought back to I looked at both rosters. I'll be honest with you, my first pick was actually going to be Delta. I didn't know anybody on Omega. I knew everybody on Delta though.
Yeah.
Rodney was
I
booking
think-
Delta at the time.
Yeah, there you go. I was about to ask.
Rodney was booking Delta at the time. I love that man to death. I trust him with everything I do. Anytime he is involved creatively, I'm like, you're my dude. I trust you. You know, you get me. And then you had so many people, like Delta was stacked. So I said,
I think this is when Mikey P was Delta champion going, and it was
I
Mikey
don't remember
P,
who the
then
champion was
Klein.
at the time.
Yeah.
I remember like McLean was there, Carnage was there, Onions was there, Nick, Dyer, Kelly Steen. Delta was stacked.
Delta was stacked. Yeah.
And like, I want to go there because there's a lot of people I have worked with, but there's still some really good people I haven't. And they're like, if we put you on Delta, it's gonna be way too fucking lopsided. I think I might be making that last sentence up. I don't remember why they told me I couldn't go to Delta. I think he said the roster was full. There wasn't any room for me.
Probably.
But I want to make myself sound good, So I'm like, okay, then I guess only options Omega. And then that's when this happened.
Yeah. Funny story about how I got that position actually. So I was like fully competing and only in IW because there was no other place outside that interested me as much as IW was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that time, not only was I a little bit burnt out from it, from like competing in general, but B was like there was no time. There was no time or commitment for me to do stuff because I couldn't. There was no freedom because there were so many people living here that I was afraid that I would record downstairs, and again, I'd be interrupted mid promo and being told to shut the fuck up. So I couldn't do the things that I felt like I could give out creatively, and I wanted a break initially. And that's why I started shifting into writing matches. And David asked me, like, yo, can you write like one match? And I wrote like a 3 pages worth in Microsoft Word for one match. And I gave it to David, was like, holy shit, this is good. Take it going.
Same fucking thing happened with me. I remember the very first match I wrote on Alpha was I remember the first 2 matches I wrote. I think the first match I wrote was a tag match. It was Nick Harrison and Kelly Steen versus Australia and Jade Diamond. But then later on that week, Dan Ness hit me up and was like, "Hey, yo, can you give me some help with this match I'm working on? I can't get a vibe for it, and I want to see if you can help me." So I do. I'm like, "Okay, what's the match?" Nick White versus Thomas Austin for the Alpha Championship. And I wrote that whole fucking match.
That's pretty similar.
And from that point forward, me and Dan Ness pretty much exclusively wrote Alpha by ourselves every week for like 6 months, with like 12 match cards. 12 match cards. We were writing, me and him, like separately. We're writing 6 matches a week. I think eventually we got Applin in there to kind of help us out because.
Pretty much that's how it was because me and Keith were very close. Like even to this day, I think besides like there's like 3 other people that I would consider besides Keith to be my best friend in this entire hobby. That guy helped me through basically everything involving IW, both on camera, and he taught me everything that I knew behind the camera, writing and booking. So I think at this point, I was burnt out from competing, and I was Keith's go-to writer because we just clicked. He and I, we just clicked. I know what he wants in terms of how a match should be written, and I know what he wants in terms of how a direction story should go. And so we were going back and forth about all this writing stuff, and until one day, Keith couldn't post a card. I think he was busy at work, and I was messaging him, and I was like, bro, let me post the card. Just give me the card, let me post it, and I'll make it look nice. And like that, he gave me the card, and I posted it on an alternate account, which is now my Anthony Garcia account. And Keith just messaged me like, dude, just help me book the fucking show. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, just help me book the fucking show. But everything that you do has to go through me. Sure. Where do I start? And he made me an admin on the page, and by late 2019 onwards, me and Keith were running the show solely. He and I, especially. And I know what you're probably gonna ask. I know what we're probably about to get into.
There was a few things before that.
Okay.
Because you remember, I had initially come into Omega and I wanted to do something different.
Arthur Price.
I came in I wanted to do like different name and like try to do different, and it failed miserably.
Arthur Price. I remember because you came in and you wanted to do Arthur
I was
Price.
sick of the Blair thing. I wanted to go because I liked that name more, and to an extent, I still do have a fondness in my heart for that name originally.
Yeah.
Because I just think it sounds so much cooler, but it just didn't work. I don't know why. I don't really know why I changed from that to TJ Blair in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why I just didn't keep that name, but yeah, tried something different. It didn't work, and then like I don't know, something happened, and I had one of several fucking mental breakdowns, and then took the rest of that year off.
Yeah, because you were slotted into a feud with then Omega World Champion Carl Jenkins, Chuck Myers, Killjoy.
Yeah.
You were set for a big run. I know Keith and I were talking very highly of you. Even back then, we were talking very highly of you. And I knew because Carl, you weren't slated to win because that belt was always gonna go back to that belt was gonna go to Dyer to Bubba. That belt was like the end game was always Bubba, but we wanted to put you into that slot because you were good. We wanted to give you that opportunity, and I knew you talked to me a little bit about it, and then that's when Keith would tell me that the guy's going through some stuff. Just leave him out of it for now until 100%.
Yeah, because I remember I did something that I don't normally do. I remember I was like just so fucking frazzled at this specific moment. I just went live on the page and said, "Hey y'all, I can't fuck with this shit right now. I am fucked up. I'm out."
Yeah, I remember.
And people just started messaging me fucking like crazy, like, "Yo, what the fuck's going on?" Like, I think people thought I was gonna go like, I don't know, like go like or something.
Yeah.
But
it was concerning. It was legitimately concerning.
So yeah, I took the rest of that year off, and then
it's a shame it's Lesnar here at the beginning.
I
trying to get matches
back
on
for like a little bit in one of the off-season pages. I think I might have come in to do a little bit in
Underground. It was probably Underground or Promo Lucha.
Incredible stats.
Yeah, it would have been Underground. I didn't do anything in Promo Lucha, so I did a little bit in Underground with Nick, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm in a good spot again. And now. Someone who has some history or some stories in the eFed community that you would like to talk about on a platform, well, I've got the place for you right here on the Unplugged Podcast. Just hit me up and we will schedule a show just for you. As always, thank you for watching and listening, and I will talk to all of you later on.
That was the end of the first one. They got broken into two. I forgot about that. That was a sudden cutoff. I'm gonna have to talk to Artie about that.
What's very funny about this one is this was the start of everyone staying at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was the start of the COVID era. And, I remember. Yeah, January 2020. I make the call like I'm ready to get back into it. Let's go back to Omega.
Hey, thanks for calling.
How did we get there?
All right, let's talk about how we got there. So. This was pandemic era, so everybody had to stay at home.
Boogeyman.
And Keith and I were shooting this because we were about to come back. So we were about to come back to do the pandemic season. And Keith and I were shooting shit. And Keith gives me a couple of ideas for we were essentially we were long term. We were terming the shit. So that's what I wanted. It's like, okay, I don't want to do this shit week by week. Like if we're gonna book this, we got to make sure we have a direction for virtually everyone on the roster.
Right.
And we were like, okay, what's a good tag team? And
Yeah,
I
because
remember
I'm
it's
specifically interested to hear how this idea
Yeah,
came to be.
So you're like, what's a good tag team? And Keith was throwing some names out there. He's like, Blair. Blair's a good guy for it. Okay. I started scrolling your stuff, and I see this guy named William Pentega was posting some stuff, and it's Crimson Wolf. It's Crimson Wolf, and I see like a couple of promos, and my eyes widen. I'm like, wait a second. I go back. I watch one of your shit. And I go back to the computer. Yo, Keith, let's have this William Pentega guy and TJ Blair team up because they share similar gimmicks.
Oh my god, I love that.
That's it. It's like, yo, Keith, they share similar gimmicks. They're part of the dark shit. Why not?
What's funny
and Keith
is
was all in for it. He was all in for it. Yeah, fuck it.
That was the first time I had ever met Will. I did not know him before that. I had maybe seen one promo of his when he first came to IW like months before. And then he was just kind of like one of those, it's like, I think I was still doing the Alpha thing. He was on Omega's like, or maybe he was on Delta. I don't even remember.
No, he was on Delta, then got called up to Omega. I remember.
Right, yeah. So, like, I remember seeing one of his things on Delta, and I'm like, okay, guy comes up. It seems interesting, but I don't have time to watch all the brands. I'm just paying attention to my shit. So then I remember the pitch, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then me and Will hook up and start talking, and we just click immediately.
Yeah.
Like we click instantly. Like we came up we came up with like the move name. I think we called it Ragnarok. It was like
yes,
like,
it was.
I had
so
like,
fun to write.
I had like it was like the mix of that like V trigger buckshot sort of
thing,
really, without like all the flips.
Fun
where, like,
move to write.
I come in with the knee to the back of the head. He comes in with that lariat.
And like your styles meshed so well because your personalities were so similar. It was like a no-brainer.
We
like,
had that, and then the whole new divine name, and it was just.
How did y'all come up with that? That's what I want to know. How the fuck did y'all come up with that?
That's a good question, actually.
Because
I remember I was the one that pitched the name. I'm like, hey, how does this sound? Because I think I remember we started talking about, okay, what is... I think the first thing I said is, like, I remember messaging him, like, hey, so word on the street is we're going to be a tag team, and I want to get really, like, in-depth with the shit. I want our team to have, like, a meaning. I want it to have a purpose. What can we do to, like, make us more than just your standard tag team? Like, we need to be more than just,
that's what I wanted.
It's the team of TJ Blair and Crimson Wolf. We need to have a purpose. We need to have a goal, a mission. And we kind of like duo agreed on we want to enforce a change in the system. We want to bring in a new era, a new divine.
And when you told me, because I remember, I think it was either you, it was you that told me about the pitch, and it came back to Keith. I remember falling in love with it instantly. Shit, this is good because like remember your competition, who your competition was at that time. You had Southern Justice, Jagged Subversion, the Kin. You had the Blake Williams Experience.
Well, the Kin was like the Kin was later.
Right, yeah. The Kin was later.
The Kin was way later. Like we're talking like early, which was I remember the way we I remember the way we like set this up because I think I did occasional writing sometimes on the shows. I did write occasionally.
Before I asked you to do it full time.
Yeah, like I think I'd like hey, like I've got sort of a vision for like ways some of this could play out. You could just write this stuff out and just send it to you. You can put it where you want. And like, yeah, sure, go for it. So I remember just writing some stuff up to kind of like set the tease up. I remember like writing like some like backstage stuff, like meeting with Wolf backstage and be like, we don't have to follow the order. We can break the chain and make a new order and whatnot.
And do you know who wrote that segment?
It kind of went from there.
You who wrote that segment?
It was you or me.
It's me.
Okay.
I wrote that segment.
Okay.
I wrote that segment.
I remember I wrote something to that extent early on. I think I might have. I don't remember what I wrote that kind of set up for that. I remember writing something that set up to that moment where the mission is where we make our mission statement, and then it was gonna just be the two of us for. I guess it was gonna be the two of us for the long haul.
Yeah, because it was essentially, it was Omega's version of the Dark Order, but better. But better, because at that time the Dark Order was this was before Brody Lee came in. Because I remember you pitched to me the idea of the Sublime one. You were the one that pitched that to me.
Well, I remember. Maybe it was. I know Will pitched it to me and said he had someone for the role.
Yeah.
So then I think he brought it to me, and then I brought it to you.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit. Who could see idea that can match these two's edginess?
Yeah,
and talk to me about how did you convince this fucker to join y'all?
I didn't know Dylan.
Okay.
That was Will. That was all Will. They're they're like best friends. They know each other personally.
Yeah, they're neighbors.
They see each other personally often. So that was that was his project. So that's one. Maybe I'll get them on sometime and we can talk about that.
Okay. Yeah.
But I guess he had brought it to me, I guess, after he had convinced him to do this. And I'm like, okay, that could be interesting. Bring it to you. You clear it. I think you wanted, did you clear or did we have to get all of us together first?
I needed to see a promo from him first. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to see a promo from him first, and then because Keith gave me the clue, say, "Hey, this is your thing. Go, whatever if this falls through, that it's on your ass." That's what he told me. So this was the first main project.
We were like the Mick Foley to your Jim Ross.
Yeah. So everything that had to do with your creative direction, that was all on me. So I had to make sure I did everything in my power to make sure you guys weren't pissed off at your direction, while also giving you shit to make you guys work for it. So
yeah, because you kept us in the loop 24/7.
Yeah,
we always knew, we didn't always know every little painstaking detail. Obviously, we didn't want to know everything start to finish, but we knew enough to know that we're not gonna get fucked with here.
Yeah. Because
that kind of gave way to arguably I would consider up there in top 3 of the best run I've had.
Yeah, I personally put this on one of the best factions in EFED history. In my humble opinion,
it went a full 12 months, a full year.
The everything that you guys did. Everything that I gave you guys, you ran with it and completely made it.
There was never any dissension. There was never any
none.
But there, I feel like there almost was because I was on. I felt like I was close to on the verge of another sort of mini break. But then I was kind of able to curb that and get back on track a little bit.
Yeah, because
I remember one point I pitched I remember going to either them or you or both and being I'm feeling fucking burnout, so let's fucking start a fucking exit game. And then I talked myself out of why am I wanting out of this? This is the 3 of you kept me around.
Yeah. Because we were doing the trios thing and Dylan was he was skyrocketing so quickly, so fast, because he was so fucking good at
I remember he came in. It's funny. I had Casey Campbell on
Yeah.
the first episode. He
Yeah.
told me that he had so many people messaging him asking if he was the Sublime.
Oh shit!
People thought it was Casey. People didn't.
Oh shit!
People genuinely had no idea who it was. Dylan was a complete mystery. He was an unknown.
Except to me, Keith.
Yeah, except like everyone involved in like the whole like booking of the group to like the roster. I don't think anyone knew who he was. He was just a complete just ghost from the shadows that just popped up, and he had the mask and the voice filter and all that, and just like the little short, the whole like short little clips of like the hear the call and shit.
Yeah, that warms my heart. That warms my heart to know that stuff like that. So basically, after you guys were doing like trios thing, I went to Keith. It's like, man, we gotta push these three. And Keith literally replied back saying, "Duh." Duh. Like, it's your thing. Like, do what you gotta do. So I wanted to transition the three of you from you're three big cohesive units to let's give these guys success, because this is now the Kin era. This is now we're in Kin.
Yeah,
so
the
Kin had
like
the gold.
before that, like I kind of want to go back a little bit because like the first half of New Divine specifically was like, in my opinion, that was like some of the best shit we did was in like the first half of that year, because like that was the tag title run, that was the three-way feud with Jagged Subversion and Southern Justice. R.I.P. T-Bone. R.I.P.
T-Bone. Do you know what I remember most about that first half? Was the promo of y'all spliced together and dancing to some song.
The New Divine show.
Yeah, the New Divine show.
The fucking 70s show parody.
Yeah.
Dude.
I popped so hard for that. What the hell are y'all doing? I remember messaging the group.
I remember.
What the hell are y'all doing?
Because like we had our own personal chat that was just the three of us, where we just scheme shit. And then when we had something we felt confident enough, then we'd go to the chat with you in it.
Yeah.
I remember one day we were just like, I don't remember which one. I think it was Dylan. It was like, I don't think these people take us seriously enough on this roster. I think we need to fuck with these people a little bit. Show them that what they do is amateur hour and we're on another level, and show them just how easy it is to do what they do, which is they do the
entertainment.
Fuck you, the fuck this, the fuck that. That's all these people do. So let's show them how easy it is to do things the way they do it. And that was I remember, God, like I had like this. I remember. The opening moment, like we're all just kind of like scrolling through phones and whatnot, and Dylan just has this fucking block phone.
I remember that. I popped hard for that.
Block phone, and like I've got this tiny little like mini phone that's like way past date. I think I might still have that phone somewhere. I don't even know if Will had a phone or if he was just like blocked out enough to where you couldn't tell if he was holding anything or not. And then, yeah, that was one of that was like that video. I think kind of made us.
Yeah, I agree.
Got people looking at, because like people saw it and then they started sharing it.
Yeah.
To like the other pages, and then people on the other brands were seeing it. I remember at one point there was, I don't remember the genesis of it, but there was this little like joke group that was started up just for shits and giggles called Everyone's a Winner Wrestling or something.
Yes, that was ran by Nick White.
It was just a little
Nick White ran that
parody group.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just a little like everyone was just in there trolling, and then I think I just randomly posted that in there, and then people are just like, "What the fuck are y'all on? Like, this is like next fucking level shit." And I'm like, shit, man. And then that first half was like that was pure magic.
Yeah, so
pure fucking magic.
I knew like once you guys dropped those tag belts, that this was like the big hurdle. It's like, okay, these guys are gonna drop the tag belts. What direction can I put these guys into where it feels fresh and to where these guys can still remain like a cohesive unit without having to like be together all the time. And I remember I went to Keith. It's like, bro, just put them in fucking singles title runs. That's what Keith was like. Bro, just fucking put them in single titles runs. Like, I don't care. Like, do it. I trust you enough to do it.
Yeah, because here's another thing I kind of remember. Another team that kind of like flew in sort of under the radar a little bit. Didn't Hustle Brand go to Omega for a cup of coffee at that time?
Yeah.
And so
then,
I remember.
stuff happened.
Yeah, because there's this one thing I remember in particular. There's one promo I remember. We did another group promo during like a Hustle Brand match that didn't get as much attention at the time. Mm-hmm. We were like in there, and we were literally like, we had set it up to where we were finishing each other's sentences. It was like it would cut to Dylan, he would be saying something, and then it would cut to Crimson, and he would finish the sentence, and then he'd go on something, and then I would cut in and finish it, and it would just be like, I think it was like
out a few RTGs while I still can. Not gonna get anywhere with it.
I don't remember. I don't remember like specifically if it was this in particular, but I know I at least did this. I don't remember if the others did it, but I remember the way I did it at the time, where it's like I had it set up to where like I was kind of like camera was like off kind of behind me, but I was looking in a mirror. Mm-hmm. And then at one point, I just like kind of turned to where like my reflection would be looking directly in the camera, and it's like that was another one that was like we just had so much special shit, and then one by one we all started picking up gold.
Yeah, so that was the important part of it. Was like I had to make sure these guys were in prominent spots. That way the lost would know that, hey, these two guys, they're the future, man. They're the future. So the thing for me and Keith is, okay, which spot can we put each of these individuals in where it would not only elevate them but elevate the titles that they're going to be put on.
Oh wait, Dylan, I forgot something else. I forgot something else. President Mason.
We're gonna get there. Yeah. So for Dylan, I had to put him in the Extreme Championship picture, because who was holding the championship at that time? It was James Park. So I had to get the Extreme belt off of James Park because he was also the tag champions with KG. So I had to get the Extreme belt off and say, okay, perfect. Yeah, Mason and Park, these two are fucking perfect. Let them fight out for the belt. For Will, I placed him in the primetime championship slot because, okay, Keith and I need someone who can bring that championship to prominence. Put him there. Mm-hmm. Then you. I came to you and I told you. Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. So I came to you. I told you the idea, and I told you the direction, and I think I was just telling you like, hey, you're gonna be placed in this direction. You're gonna be placed for the United States Championship, and and this is so sad. Who'd you win that belt off from?
It was a ladder match. It was like a big like multi-person ladder match, I think.
Right.
Right. Yeah, because I was the last one of us to, I think, win.
You were the last one to win the belt.
Yeah, I was the last one. And then the thing happened.
Yeah, the thing happened. Yeah, so basically, all three of y'all were set. Y'all were set for championship gold. Now the point is, how do we get there? What story can we tell compelling-wise to have each of these three feel unique, different, but also feel cohesive? For Dylan, it was very easy. I saw him doing the President Mason stuff outside of IW. I messaged him immediately, like, "Yo, can you fucking do this in IW? And then let's have it where it's an alternate ego of yourself, and then we transition it over to you as the Sublime one, and then that's when you kick the shit out of James Park." And he didn't take long. He's like, "Yeah, let's fucking do it."
Yeah.
And it worked to perfection because James Park is fucking gold. He's so good at putting people over. For Will, it's the same thing. Say, "Hey, let's give you the spot for this prime time slot, and we can prime time Wolf shit like that. Easy clap. There you go." And then I felt bad for you because you were the last one to win. You were the last one to win the belt.
I was kind of I was floating for a bit.
Yeah,
I was kind of floating.
I was struggling. I was struggling to how to properly put you in the championship picture.
I don't know if you remember this. It was like somewhere in that second run, somewhere in the second half of that run. That's when Arson came back to IW.
Yeah.
And he messaged me asking if he could join New Divine.
I remember.
You remember that? You remember that?
Yes, because you told me that. You told me that.
Yeah, I went to go like, what do y'all think of this? And it was kind of like, because we weren't, because he was just coming back in, and given his erratic history, it was kind of hard to rely on him at times.
Yeah.
And I think instead what ended up happening was instead of him joining us, he feuded with me and Dylan specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started going after Mason, and then the funniest shit. I remember me and Dylan actually still laugh about this to this day. The whole like little baby Cthulhu thing was not supposed to be a physical thing.
Oh shit!
It was just like a fucking imaginary friend. Fucking Arson's the one. He took it as like there is actually a physical being called Little.
There is an actual Cthulhu.
There is a little there is a President Mason has a physical being known as Little Tulu, and I'm gonna go kidnap it.
And we wrote it that way. I wrote it that way.
Yeah, I remember he did it and was like he did the video and said to Dylan, President Mason, I've got your Little Thulu in my compound and shit.
Because Gary came to me with the idea. He came to me with the idea, saying, "Hey, this Little Thulu shit. Why don't we insert that into the story?" And I'm like, "You know what? Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
I can write that.
Yeah,
I can write that."
And then I kidnapped Jack Arson's brother.
Kidnapped Angel. I remember.
Yeah.
Kidnapped Angel.
One of my favorite things is like he had he had the green screen. He had a green screen in like a grocery store. He's walking around as Angel and he's going, I don't know why my brother's out here having me do all this shopping. My God, what does the Tulu eat? Looks off to the corner, and then we edit it into where I come in on the same green screen footage.
I saw that video.
I now had green. Yeah, he had it, and then he ran off screen, and then I'm like, and then I just kind of like Michael Myers after him, and then later it's shown I've got him fucking tied up and gagged in a fucking back room, and then I'm like beating him up and shit, and it's like.
And then it all led to this. I think I forgot.
It all led to.
Because you wrote that.
Yeah. It went to a the culmination to that was I'm struggling to remember it was a Jack Arson match specifically. I think you called it like the fucking
something with electricity. Yes,
it was an electrified Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell.
In his fucking backyard or some shit.
Yeah, and the stipulation was if he won, he joined the New Divine. But if you won...
No, because he did win. And he didn't join.
I don't recall. No, I remember you gave me the match, and you won. Because I remember the stipulation very clearly was that if he won, he joined. But if you won, he'd become your bitch boy.
No, No, I think there's a misremembrance there because we kind of like went our separate ways after that for a bit.
Yeah, because I remember he barely promoted that day, that week.
Neither of us really did much, honestly.
Yeah, because
and it's shit because we had 2 matches during that program. One, we blew the fucking page up, and that was just the random singles match. And then we had this big gimmick match, and then we both fucking sandbagged it.
yeah,
But
I think it was kind of sad because there was a lot of potential for that.
Yeah. But then like that kind of ended, and then I started experimenting with shit again. This time I did it where like I had a in-character breakdown where I took the fucking hook.
Yeah. That'll
I took it, and then gouged my own eyes out, and started wearing like the mask that covered my eyes and shit, and then I started portraying it like I'm a blind wrestler for a couple weeks. That didn't last very long.
Yeah, that didn't. We didn't.
I kind of gave up on that one a little bit. I kind of gave up. I kind of retconned it and was like, "You people actually think I sat here and pulled my own eyes out of my head? Are you that fucking? Are you people that fucking dense?"
And then the WrestleCade came.
That's when I jumped into the United States. But yeah, because I remember around the time I did that, "Are you people that fucking stupid that you think I cut my own eyes out?" thing, I had done another thing that had required me to be in hospital or something, and I wrote this whole fucking segment out of like they were coming to interview me in the hospital. They get in the fucking room and it looks like a murder scene. Like doctors and nurses are just laid out in bloody messes, and then Dylan and Wolf just appear in the background behind the interviewer, and then I grab him by the fucking neck and hold him at fucking gunpoint with the hook, and I'm like, you people have put me through worse than I just fucking went through. This is hell, this is torture, and I need to get back at this fucking, like, America is fucked. The American system is fucked. And now I have my target to change. The United States of Panic.
You told me that pitch. And there's a bunch of voice messages too, I remember.
Yeah.
You sent me that pitch, and I'm like, fuck, there you go. There you go. So we have the multi-man match for the title, and I told him like,
was in it. Yeah,
Woods was in it. Jeremiah Woods was in it because we had to give him something. You had to give him something.
Yeah,
before.
I do remember he was in there. I don't remember who else was though. I don't.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people, and we told him like, hey, Arthur's winning. Yeah, Blair's winning because we have this thing for him for next season. So now we get here. Now we get here. This is sort of the heavy stuff now. So now all 3 of you are champions. Sean Jackson is the world champion. He's about to have the feud of the year with Jeremiah Woods. Me and Keith, we had this big creative long plan on what life would be like after each of the 3 of you were champions. And trust me, there was a very significant shift in what I wanted each of y'all to do that may or may not have involved the World Heavyweight Championship. And then I came to work. I remember vividly, it was a week before Christmas. I woke up and my phone had a bunch of messages and a bunch of notifications of people leaving the group. It started with KG. I had messages from Keith, and I saw personal posts from Dylan, from you, and I think what really threw me off the edge was Sean Jackson posted the picture of Edge putting down the World Championship when he relinquished it in 2011. He posted it in the Omega group.
I didn't know that because, like, I remember I just kind of like silently dipped, and I think I did message you and like, sorry, brother.
Yeah, I was getting messages from you, from the group, from Sean, from Woods, and
because it was kind of a tough thing.
It was a big fiasco. So what I would like to do right now, since we have the platform to do so, is I want to clear the air, and let's just let's just go through it. Like, what led to what led to this? Like, what got us here?
Oh,
Like,
we're
what
flipping the
got
script
Shaw?
now. We're
Yeah,
flipping the
what
script
got
now.
Shaw here?
You're the interviewer now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what got us here? I need to know your side of it.
Okay.
Like, what got us here?
Okay, so
Oh, I gotta get that dust meter.
it was like I said, it was sometime in December.
Yeah.
And,
I got ousted. I remember I got
what had
ousted from
happened.
Kojima. Yeah.
Yeah, we had found out that well, first we had found out that Will was getting sent to Alpha.
I did not know about. Me and Keith did not know about that. Yeah. That pissed us off.
Nobody knew until he told us.
Yeah,
he
that
was
pissed
getting
us off.
moved.
That
Like,
pissed us off. Yeah.
He
'Cause
told
they didn't
us,
tell us about
and
that
then
either.
we went to then we went to you guys like, hey, what the fuck is this? And then you were
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is this? And then you know, a bunch of drama started going down. A bunch of shit started happening, like rapid fire, like
rapid fire.
You know, that fucking Uncut podcast happened.
Yeah.
And you know,
Then David was coming back.
I'm cool with David now.
Yeah.
You know, all is well.
All is well. Yeah.
But it is history. It happened the way it
It
happened, and I
Yeah.
am going to say things the way they did. He put his foot in his mouth plenty of times during that. Love him or hate him, that was. I don't remember everything that was said, but I remember a lot of things that were said really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
I think
There was
when
something about-
he told.
Yeah, there was a lot of personal stuff that was aired out.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
I think-
dredge all that.
I think I know the moment you're talking about, but I'm not going to discuss it because it's neither. I know the moment you're talking.
Yeah.
I know the
There were
exact moment.
three or four big moments. There were like 3 or 4 big things that pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah.
And then one day KG hits me up, and first it was weird because first he hits me up and he's like, "Hey man, so funny story. I had no idea you were from Kentucky. I hear your accent, and I think you're like from one of those like California bros or something." So it starts like that because I had actually never spoken to him before. This was our first interaction personally.
Okay.
What was this? So then he says that just random thing, and then he breaks into the pitch. He says, "Got this thing we're doing. Call me up when you get a chance to talk." So I'm like, okay, I'm free right now. So gets me on a call and he tells me, on this specific day, I don't remember what day it was, but on this specific day, we've got a group of we've got this big group of people, and on this specific day, we are all leaving silently. None of us are saying a word. We're not making a big fuss about it. We're just going to quietly leave, and then we're starting up our own thing. And then he started listing off all these people that were involved in the what has been dubbed the fucking Exodus. Started running off names like fucking Joey Taylor, Brian Aldridge, Sean Jackson, Jeremiah Woods, Dylan, Crimson, fucking Hayden, Conrad, Tyler, obviously. I mean,
Ryan.
He ended up Ryan. Yeah. Tyler didn't last long in the initial run. He ended up going back
for a little
quickly.
bit.
But like so many of these people, I'm like, oh, this isn't like just some like, because
Casey.
something like
both of them.
Both Casey's, Moran and Campbell, like all these big players, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, this is like, because I remember like a year before, someone else had tried to do something very similar, but all they had were like little names. I remember the 3 who were like kind of pioneering this particular one were like big, but then everyone who was involved were like, from what I remember,
Small
just a
fish.
bunch of like shrubs.
Small fish.
And it didn't work. So then he starts listing off all these, because I asked me like, who all is involved in this? because I'm not doing anything unless I know who is involved in this and if this is like a serious thing. Because I was burned out anyway. I was like, I had kind of talked it into my head of like, I'm gonna ride through whatever the story is looking like, and then I need a break. Because I was kind of running on fumes. So starts listing all these names off, and I'm like, yo, this is like big stuff. And I'm like, okay, let me think on it. And then I immediately went to Will about it, and I'm like, yo, KG, put your name in on this. Talk to me, tell me what's going on. And he explained his. I don't remember everything. I don't remember everything he had said, but what he said was kind of enough to convince me that like, okay, this is a thing. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm in.
Take a
So
break, and I will
on
be back.
that specific day, whichever one it was, you had everyone. Keep in mind, you had both world champions of both shows, Alpha and Omega. Joey was Alpha champion. Sean was Omega champion. Both left. Dylan was still Extreme champion. Will was still Primetime. I was still US. We all left. Like, it was a silent fucking bloodbath. Really.
Yeah.
And then that's when the whole HSW thing came to be, and it lasted about a year.
So that ordeal happened, and Keith and I were basically like we were done. Me personally, I was done because not only did that entire ordeal destroy everything that me and him built throughout an entire year, but it completely destroyed my confidence into thinking I could ever like become someone behind the scenes ever again. Because it just like you have to understand as well, Arthur, like the stuff that affected the people that were still in the group that wasn't a part of it. Me, Keith, James. God. I felt so bad for James throughout that entire ordeal.
Yeah, I figure because like he's been one of the day one guys.
He is.
So I figure he took it and I remember specifically there was a weird point in early HSW where KG was teasing really hard that he was trying to convince James to jump.
He was. Yes, he was.
Like it was even so much so that he even had a clip of James's voice on one of his videos once, like actually like talking to him.
Yeah.
So like there was a period where we thought there was actually a period of time where we thought, bro, are we about to get one of the fucking like most hardcore loyal guys to IW to jump ship? Yeah. And obviously it didn't happen. I don't think you're ever gonna get James to jump from IW. I don't think it's physically possible.
Because James was so hurt by that entire ordeal that it was affecting him really badly. I remember at that point as well, like a couple of months into it, it was affecting me because I was hearing all these different stories. I didn't know who to believe because everyone was telling me different things. I didn't know who was telling the truth. And so in that frustration, I talked to Keith and we both agreed that, are you bouncing? And Keith said, yeah, I think I'm bouncing. And that blew my mind. I'm like, oh fuck. Like you're really considering it? Yeah. Like I think at that point we were both just so fed up with all the bullshit that
because I know like another thing that kind of like spurred like I know the three of us to kind of jump also was like we felt like you guys were getting fucked over. And it's like, yo, like we put a year into this and it's just being thrown away and discarded like it didn't mean shit.
Yeah.
So like I had
that on top of the fact
fucked with all of us.
Yeah. That on top of the fact that I think I know the reason why I got ousted as co-GM. I'm not gonna publicly say it out now because it's water under the bridge at this point. But you
Mhm.
put that on top of all of this, that's when I really started thinking, yeah, I don't think, yeah, I don't, and like right now, like me and David, I don't think
Yeah.
that bond will ever be separated again. Like,
Mhm.
you'll never convince me to leave that place ever again.
Right.
But I think,
But
like,
again,
at
like
that
it's
time,
a case of like like this bad shit. It
yeah,
happened.
all this bad,
You
it
can't just
happened.
ignore it. You can't ignore history.
Yeah,
You know,
and
like if you
it
try to
hap-
erase the past, you're just doomed to repeat it.
yeah. So I
So
was like,
you gotta keep a semblance of the past in the back of your head
exactly. So
because
it was at that point.
wipe it.
So it was at that point where I was like, I don't think David, like, this was me. It was me saying this, and then there was a problem. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't think we're valued here. I don't think I'm valued here anymore. That's what I was thinking. And people that know me know I was one of the biggest diehards for that group because of what it did to me personally and professionally. And even I'm saying that,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm valued here anymore. Why would I stay in a place that I'm not valued at? So I made the decision at that time to no longer be exclusive and start doing other stuff outside. And I started attempting to do the stuff outside. And at that point, I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna leave IW. Like, I'm gonna take the jump. If I sink or swim. And I found out that there's no other place that made me feel as much fun as IW had.
Mm-hmm.
I tried ACW, I tried HSW, I even tried RPW a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't the same.
Right.
And so that's when I made like the decision that, okay, I'm so fucking pissed off at all the lies and all the bullshit. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So I just left.
Mm-hmm.
I left the hobby entirely. And I didn't make a fuss about it. And I moved on to something completely different, which was role playing a very similar instance, but I was done. And up to, I think, the early part of last year, I was content with just being done. Like, okay, I didn't have any important world championship victories. I'm probably not going to be the guy that people look up to as like this top tier talent or this top tier booker. I'm probably never going to be in the EWN Hall of Fame or any Hall of Fame, and I was fine with that. Like, I was almost at peace with just leaving the game entirely. I was about to write that off as another chapter of my life that happened. I didn't go out the way that I wanted to, and I accepted. I was okay with it. It was a lot of going up basically throughout that year being away because I really didn't know if I could ever fall in love with the game again. Wrong. Wrong.
Yeah. I was
thought
like,
wrong.
I kind of had a similar thing. Like a year, like your kind of go away period was 2021. Mine was 22. 22.
Yeah.
I took a whole year because the more time went on in HSW, I was just feeling more and more like burned out completely.
Yeah.
And then I tried to like
I know we
branch out
talked.
and do some other stuff. I had tried to branch out and do some other stuff, pop up in a couple other places.
Yeah.
And it wasn't vibing anymore. And health-wise, I was not in a good place health-wise, physically or mentally in general.
Yeah.
Like physically, physically, I was fucking morbid. I'm sure you remember. Yeah. I was bad before I left IW. It got worse.
Yeah.
Like, I look back at some of those videos from that HSW period, and I'm like, what the fuck were you doing?
Yeah.
And then, I just got to a point where it's like, yeah, I can't deliver. I can't deliver anymore. This is my jump off point, and I
was there. Yeah.
Rode off into the sunset until I didn't.
Yeah. And I think what changed,
somehow managed to find like like you, I somehow, some way managed to find my love for it again. Now, how did you rediscover your love for the game?
Well, first off, we upgraded our internet. That
Good
was
start.
the most important thing. Was that now I don't have to wait fucking 2 hours for a promo to upload, and now
start.
everything is very fast. That's pretty good. Number two was people started moving out. My older sister got married. She moved out with her Filipino husband to Canada. My aunt, God rest her soul, she passed away in 2018. So I took her old room downstairs. I got a TV there, and I started noticing that I have all this space. Huh. And I tested even more. It's like late at night. It's like, huh. No one's telling me to shut the fuck up. And I started working. Nobody's stopping me. I started working because I work for my dad. And I started earning money. And I'm like, I'm gonna buy a tripod. I bought a tripod. I tested it. What the fuck?
It's
what the fuck
again.
What the fuck? I can move around. I don't have to put the camera on selfie mode anymore. Holy shit! And then I started earning again. It's like, oh my god, I could buy KineMaster Pro. Oh my god, TubeMate, I can have background music. No watermark. Yo, I think there's something here. So I had to make sure first that I had the time, because that was the big thing about it. I had to make sure I had the time to commit to where I could put out the best quality work while also maintaining a healthy balance of, not staying up too late on weekdays because I had work the next day. I had to make sure I was able to sort of be able to project my my energy the way that I wanted to without disturbing anybody up here, while also not disturbing anybody next door. So I had to make sure I was able to do that at a proper manner at a proper time. So I
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think I want to do this again, but I need to take it a week at a time. Mm-hmm. And I came back, I wanted to do something because for most of my time, I was wearing this, I was wearing the cutoff t-shirt, I was swearing a lot. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to cut a promo like shit I would see every Thursday, because Thursday is Wednesday over there, right? So I wanted to cut a promo like how people would do it every Thursday, because newsflash, my favorite wrestling company is AEW. I want to do it like them. No swearing. That was the ultimate challenge for this. Like, okay, don't swear. So my first opponent was Dragonheart. And I thought, okay, easy week. Let's try it. I do the first one. It's getting good reactions. And the second one, I'm not swearing. Third one, oh my god, I still haven't swore. Next week comes by, I'm still not swearing. And then as it progressed, I felt more confident in a way that I haven't felt ever, because I have all this space now, I have all this freedom, and I'm older. Because when I was younger, I don't know what the fuck I was saying. But as I'm older, the older I got, the more I learned about how to deliver your shit properly and how to deliver it at the proper pace, at the proper emotion. So I just got better. And then it just got to where, shit, this is okay, yeah, this is addicting again. This is fun now. And then it just so happens I was doing it in IW. And then I think what really solidified it was I had this match in XWE. Oh.
I remember this.
Oh, sorry. I was just making sure there was no IW bots around that was gonna come chop my head up for mentioning that word. Okay. All right. It's 2023. I think I could say that without getting into trouble. All right. So I had this match in XWE, and it was against Johan Go. He was not only in the greatest XWE setter that they have ever had. In my opinion, he's also the greatest to ever do this.
Okay.
Because don't tell me you haven't seen a Johan Go promo.
He was before me.
Okay, yeah, but you were in XWE when I faced him.
I was a,
or at least you were almost coming back.
At that time I was still out. I
Do me a
had an
favor,
account
once-
in XWE. I had my personal account was still in XWE from one of the times Huck tried to recruit me.
So do me a favor.
But
Once we're done here,
I seldom ever use that account, so I was there, but I wasn't. I would like
do me a favor.
pop on like once in a blue moon and be like,
Yeah, do me a favor, because I know you're doing stuff there as well. Once we're done here, I want you to go ahead and look at the promos that he and I did for that week, because that one match of the year.
What show was that? What show was that?
It was Invasion last year. It was the last pay-per-view before. It was the last Huck ran pay-per-view before Nick took over.
Okay.
That one match of the year. That was XWE's match of the year last year.
I'll go take a look at it.
That was the very first time. It was the very first time that I actively put in production value into my work, because I finally had all the tools that I was lacking before I could originally do something like that to express my creativity the way that it did. It's the greatest promo I've ever cut against him. It's 9 minutes. I know it's 9 minutes. People are gonna bitch about that, but it's the greatest promo I've ever cut. And I think on top of what I'm probably about to put out the next couple of weeks, if things go the way that I feel like they're gonna go, I don't think it's gonna be topped until there's some stuff I'm planning for the next couple of weeks if things go the way that. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm on the run of my life right now. This is the greatest run I've ever had.
For me. Yeah, these last like 6 months for me have been like peak.
Yeah.
Easy.
A lot of people saying that
I feel more confident than I've ever felt before.
Yes. Agreed.
And I can tell that I can tell that with you too. Kind
yeah.
of the same. I can see that, like, we even had, like, whenever I had my first comeback in IW, we had a little run in, and like that was a fun little thing there.
It was. But like, I feel like we just got better with age.
Yeah.
I feel like both of us, once we hit our 20s.
Well, I started when I was 20 even, so I started in video. I started in video when I hit 20. So
I mean, I started this shit when I was 15 years old. So like, I feel like I just
so,
like,
the
older I got.
The 2K rule, because I had started in 2K. I was like 13, 14. So
yeah. So like, once I hit my 20s, I knew what the fuck I was doing. Now my God, I've been in this for 8 years now. This is my 8th year in this entire hobby. 7 because I wasn't a part of this in 2021, but 8 full years in this shit now. And this is now on my 8th year. This is the best I've ever. I'm on my best run, and I think it's only going to get better from here. Honestly,
I hope it does.
I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for all the stuff that I've learned throughout all these years, all the people that I meet, that I've met, all the friendships that I've shared throughout all this time. James Park, I talk to that guy virtually every day. Same with Keith. Those two guys they're the closest group that I have to family at this point in terms of like EFED camaraderie. And you, to be honest, like I think the 3 of you at this point are the only ones that I got left that I'm like severely close to, that I can talk to about virtually anything and everything without making it feel like because like after the Exodus, I didn't talk to James Park for an entire year because he was mad at me. And then when I came back, he started messaging me again. It's almost like we never drifted. Same thing with you, and same thing with Keith.
Yeah.
So I think now it's like it's a really good time right now to join the hobby.
Yeah, I feel like we're in the midst of an EFED renaissance right now.
I agree.
Like shit in general over, because I keep my eyes on, like, because I'm not doing the whole exclusive thing right now. I'm kind of floating out and like kind of venturing the world, and like
I understand. I understand that.
I think right now, just in general, this is probably the healthiest I've ever seen the hobby.
I agree.
Like there are so many good people roaming the community. It's insane.
Yeah. Me personally,
like, it's a new boom period.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, like, I always believe in this. I always believe in loyalty. I always believe that loyalty will get you rewarded. And for me, it's like there is no other place for me that's besides IW. I don't enjoy, like, it almost feels like jaded posting a promo outside of IW for me, because it's not the same. And even when I came back now, it still doesn't feel the same. So I think, like, for me, like, the best quality work that I can put in is when I'm only focused into one place, because I'm very limited to what I can do creatively. I don't have a green screen. There's no space for it. My parents will fucking yell at me if I have this green fucking cloth I'm dragging around everywhere. It's like, what the fuck are you doing with that? Are you gonna clean that or not? And I'm gonna tell them, like, then throw it away. What are you doing that for your stupid role play stuff? Because they don't like the fact that I do this, obviously, because they think you're all bad influences.
Okay, so I wait. Finish what you're saying.
Yeah, but like for me personally, I don't see myself competing or doing anything else that doesn't have the IW branding on it ever again. Like, I've learned my lesson. Like, I learned my lesson. I listened to the wrong people. Not anymore. Like, IW is my home. It's been my home, and I think it's gonna remain my home probably until the day I croak.
Fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. So we are at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
So probably need to be wrapping this one up soon, but I've got 3 things I want to touch on. Rapid fire here.
Yeah.
So first thing, just quick rapid fire right off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people that you watch the most of?
Johan Go, Sean Jackson, and James Park.
Okay. Now, which of those, if you could run something with them right now, run a program with them right now, one of them, who? Not a one-off, a full story.
Sean Jackson.
Okay.
It's not the fact I'm facing him this week. I think there's some.
Yeah. Now the last one, I'm gonna cripple you a little bit on this one, because you talked about Johan Go earlier, had something with him. Not counting him because I'm assuming he's not around anymore.
No, not anymore. He's too busy. Okay. He's doing a bunch of stuff abroad to be doing this.
Of all the people who are no longer active, who's someone that you wish you would have had a chance to go with?
Legion.
That isn't. Okay.
Legion. I faced him one time in a comp setting, and I think the judging was shit. I won that match, but I felt like I didn't deserve it because the judging was shit. The people judging didn't know what the fuck they were talking about, and they couldn't judge a promo worth a damn. But I think this version of me, I feel like can stand toe to toe with Legion at his best.
Okay.
I feel like.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up for this edition of the show. I thank you for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you. I have to say real quick.
I got this funny feeling that I'm probably going to cut this into a 2-parter.
Yeah. But
maybe. I don't know. I'll play with it.
Yeah. Before we go, I have to say something real quick. When I first met you, I thought you were British.
Are you kidding me?
It's probably because of the face. I thought you were British. I thought the name TJ Blair was very posh.
I have heard Canadian. I have heard California. I have heard New York. I have heard, like, I've never heard British.
Yeah. That's probably because of the face, and because I thought TJ Blair was a bit of a posh name. That was what I thought. It does
Kinda
sometimes,
does.
but yeah. But basically,
I'll have to tell you sort of the backstory behind the name.
yeah, probably not now because we're going way too long about this. But yeah,
Yeah.
basically, what I'm trying to get at is that I've known you basically for almost 4 years of my life. We're at this point, and
well,
out of everyone that I've worked with, both behind the scenes and on camera, there has never been a person that I thought was more professional, was more open, that was more giving than yourself. You were very open to every idea that we had. You ran with every idea that we had, and every chance that we got to promo against one another, we didn't have to tell each other a damn thing because that's how in sync we were. And
right.
I felt like there was a lot of missed opportunities if the Exodus never happened to truly see where stuff would have taken off. But I'm very glad that out of everyone that I have had the pleasure of writing for and doing stories in, your group was the best. It's my proudest moment as a general manager, as a booker, and it's also probably one of the proudest accomplishments that I've had in this game, honestly, because of how I was able to help you guys become the people that you were. I'll put myself over on that one, but it's more so like I'm so proud of how far we've come, both of us, and how
Come
much
a long way.
we have come a long way. I'm proud of us, man.
And
We deserve a toast for that one.
I don't have a drink, but
Yeah.
But I appreciate that. Yeah. So on that very sappy note, I think this is a good place to wrap things
Yep.
up. So
Yeah, because my phone
to-
is at 30%.
okay, so yeah, about time to go then. So
Time to
to
go.
everyone who has watched this, whether I uploaded it in its full 2-hour and going on 11-minute format, or if I cut it into 2 parts, thank you for watching. And we'll catch you on episode 3 because I've got a really good show lined up for that one. You won't want to miss it. So until then, again, thank you for joining me. And until next time, farewell. If you're someone who has some history or some stories in the eFed community that you would like to talk about on a platform, well, I've got the place for you right here on the Unplugged Podcast. Just hit me up and we will schedule a show just for you. As always, thank you for watching and listening, and I will talk to all of you later on.
Alright, and that was episode 2 of AB's Unplugged podcast. The information there is on the screen. And we're back in here. Took a little time. Got a little stuff regenerated. We're back. Ready to go. Bump the volume down there a little. And return to episode 3.
I will be recording this about 7 hours.
Okay.
Is that your new? Is that a blow up doll?
Maybe. I don't know yet. You know, at this point, I'm just going to say fuck the intro and we're just going to start here. I just got a destroyed box from UPS.
Oh,
And
God.
we're going to start this by real quick opening this up and finding out what's in here. This is either going to be really, really bad or really, really good.
We're unboxing now, ladies and gentlemen. Anthrax.
Oh, it's my new ring light.
Oh, nice.
Sweet. I thought it. That's weird. I thought it was coming with like a tripod though. I'll have to fuck around with it. Okay, wait. Oh, this is. Oh, this is interesting. I'll have to mess around with this later because it's very. I don't. Part of me feels like that's not everything.
Is it just the ring light?
Yeah, and it gives me instructions for a tripod setup. But it's just the light.
Okay.
I might need to investigate in that further. I might have got screwed. I might have gotten a little screwed on this one. Maybe I'll see if I can salvage it. Maybe I can like stick it on my other tripods over here somewhere and salvage
We should
this
do.
mess. I don't know. But,
Most of them are universal.
Yeah, so I'll play around with it later. I wanted to get a new ring light that would hopefully hold my actual like phone holder because because the way it's set up, the way my current setup is my old tripod is sitting in front of the ring light, so it's just casting a shadow in every fucking promo, and it's annoying as shit to try to edit around.
Yeah, the chroma key doesn't really pick it up as well.
Yeah. So hopefully, if this actually works, right? Dude, there's even like a fucking like plug in here. What the fuck? I don't know. I ain't got a good vibe. I don't have good vibes about this. I got a feeling there was supposed to be so much more that was supposed to come with this.
UPS driver's gonna come back. There's another package for you, sir.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll investigate this later, but now that that's done,
Hi.
Hello everybody. Welcome to the third episode of the Unplugged podcast. This is AB here, and my guest today is someone who has promised me 3 hours of content.
Did I?
Can you deliver?
Was I stoned? Was I drunk?
I don't know. When I posted the announcement for Anton's episode that will now be last week, you said, "Oh, I could give you 3 hours."
Yeah, 18 years of fucking E-Fed.
Yeah. So yeah, my guest today, and we'll just go ahead and get this one out of the way. Are we going to make the other little detail official here?
Which detail?
The whole,
yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Going forward, co-host.
Yes, I'm going to be asking you all awkward questions.
Yes. DJB, how are you, good sir?
I'm not high enough yet. Happy 420.
That's right. And mine's working in me right now. So by the end of this, this is going to be an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, you seem to have frozen there.
Oh, have I? It's playing on my end. Maybe it's just on you. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't care.
Who knows?
I might be tripping.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Everything looks to be playing all right on my end, so we'll go with it.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
Yes, I am good. It feels good to be in a studio at 4 o'clock in the afternoon as opposed to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Is that what time the After Dark shows usually go on for you?
No, I'm talking things like shooting the shite.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, like this morning I
Yeah.
woke up and they were live on Twitch.
Yeah, I was on there for a couple hours. I wasn't around for the full show because I was working. And I was working last night because tomorrow I am going to watch a live micro wrestling event.
Micro wrestling.
Yes, little wrestlers.
Midgets!
Yes.
Midget wrestling. Yes.
Yes.
I need
and it's gonna
videos.
be. Yeah, I think they have a TikTok.
Oh,
I
God.
don't know if you frequent that or not.
It sounds like
I
an
don't.
After Dark. It sounds like an After Dark episode.
Oh, I think I just gave you content. Oh yeah. Oh shit. But
Yes.
yeah, so I had to skip out on the full show last night to cover my day off tomorrow to go to this lovely event. So
Hey, it's worth it.
yeah, exactly. And since I couldn't get absolutely fucking blitzed last night for that show, I'm gonna do it for this one. Yay!
Why not? Why
So,
the fuck not?
Exactly. Why the fuck not? So we'll start this off the way I've been starting these off. Pretty much because I'm interested in the full on like deep dive. Like I know a lot of people in these sort of interviews, they want to start at like the beginning. I want to go to before the beginning.
Oh yeah.
So,
Okay.
What kind of what was before the eFed world for you? What kind of shit were you into before that?
Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I absolutely loved collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I remember the first deck I ever got gifted. I came home and my mom said, "You've left some rubbish under the cushion on the chair." I was like, "No, I haven't." I lifted the cushion and there was a Joy deck.
Oh,
That was nice.
okay.
Red Eyes Black Dragon immediately. Yeah, I liked Yu-Gi-Oh. Fuck now. It was more Simpsons and things that were generally on normal TV back then.
Mm-hmm.
Sitcoms. Frasier. I love Frasier.
Okay. Okay.
I fucking love Frasier so much. It's something about British people living over in America. It appealed to me.
Yeah. When did you first like start getting into like wrestling and stuff?
So, my brother, God rest his soul, I was 11, so he would have been 17. He met a woman called Elaine who would go on to be his wife, and she was a wrestling fan, a big wrestling fan, and she had big cardboard boxes filled with VHS tapes, and she taped all of the Raws, all of the SmackDowns, all of the pay-per-views, and she lent them to me, and that was it. I binge watched the whole Attitude Era several times before I even got to the name change.
Oh man, that is beautiful.
That was my first introduction to wrestling.
Yeah, I know. I told this on the Anton episode, which I mean you haven't seen yet because it airs. That part of it airs tomorrow. But I was talking to him about I started really getting into it around like late 2004, early 2005, mainly like WWE stuff. And I only had Raw. I didn't have the SmackDown channel at the time. But my grandmother had the channel. So every Thursday night, she would just record every show on VHS, and every weekend would just give me a tapes. And I still have all of those tapes in my possession to this day. And one day I'm gonna get my hands on a VCR and see if like they still even work.
Oh, you should
just
easier. What's that? Radio Shack should have a VCR.
Only thing, the thing is with me, I live in the absolute middle of nowhere, so I'm gonna have to put in some real miles to get to like one of those type of things. But
there's a crackhead.
I think we have one here, so I think we have a VCR around here somewhere I can pull out and try. I don't know. someone around here has got one. I'm sure.
I'm gonna have to look for my old tapes now.
Yeah, just obviously everything's available on like the network or Peacock or whatever, but nothing quite beats that nostalgic.
Yeah,
like
old VHS, VHS. It's like the VHS filter on the game, but it's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. One of my favorite ones to watch always was WrestleMania 21, and I watched it so much that the tape broke. I would just I watched it I think I watched it like every night for a period of time.
Which one was 21? 21 was Hollywood, right?
Yeah. It had the first Money in the Bank, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Randy Orton, Triple H, Batista, John Cena, JBL. Crazy shit. Great fucking matches. So yeah, that was a good one. So
that's a thing I've been wondering. So over in America, I think it's just America. You watch wrestling on Peacock,
right? Yeah.
Why isn't it the WWE Network anymore? Because we still have WWE Network.
See, from what I remember happening is I don't think the WWE Network lived up to what they wanted it to be. At least on the US standard. I think they had a big vision for what it could be, and it never even came close to reaching that. So I guess who is it that owns Peacock? Isn't it like NBC or something? Yeah. I want to say.
Sounds right.
Yeah. They basically, I guess, made a deal with them to move the WWE Network basically over to Peacock, so they got a shit ton of money to just move everything there on the US side, and I guess there's not like a overseas alternative. Yeah. So the rest of the world got to keep the WWE Network, and we lost it, and I was so mad about that because I really liked the network layout.
Is it the same price?
Peacock.
I don't know because I'm borrowing an account. I had done like I remember whenever it first transferred from the network to Peacock, I used a Peacock trial, and I hated it, and I'm like, there is no way I'm paying for this. So I didn't, and I just stopped watching again for a while. And then I guess somewhere between when I tried it and I want to say a year or two ago, it got to the point where I guess everything improved. They got all the kinks worked out, and it's a little better. It's not as good as the network was, though. I do miss the network. It was just, because you could on Peacock, you can't like go in and like choose a specific place to start. It's got it kind of broken up into like chapters and stuff on the network. Yeah. I think it's not like that on Peacock. So I cannot stand that. So I miss the network. I really do. So let's see. What talking about like getting into the wrestling world and stuff. What were some of your earliest like memories of watching?
The British Bulldog. Was it the British Bulldog? Yes, it was. Throwing a trash can at really Stephanie McMahon and giving her amnesia. Yep. Her first memory I had, and I believe not long after that, she started dating Triple H.
Okay.
That's the first memory.
Was it dating Triple H or Test?
She was dating Test at the time.
Okay, and then
I think the amnesia was the way they got in storyline. They got her out of that relationship and edged it towards Triple H. Okay,
because that's one of those things where it's like I I haven't really gone back and watched a lot of like that era just yet. I'm really slow when it comes to catching up on older material.
believe
And that
brilliant.
detail, of British Bulldog hitting Stephanie McMahon with a trash can and giving her amnesia, I had no idea of that even happening. Like, I've never heard anyone mention that thing before. So it's like one of my very first memories is something that I have never found evidence of it actually happening. But it's something that I remember so vividly. An episode of Raw, and it's just this like fragment. It comes out in like just like little like fragments of Triple H up on the screen, like his face is just right up in the camera like this, and you know you go like he's doing a promo or something, you know, something, and then brings up like introduces fucking Rhino or something, and then Rhino comes out and starts like beating people up. I swear, I feel like I imagined it because I have not found any single piece of evidence that this exists. I don't remember what year it was. I don't remember. I don't remember what year it was. I just remember this specific moment, and then beside that, I also remember like certain little fragments of seeing people like Tajiri or Hurricane or Stevie Richards. But like my first like big memory was, I think it was like a couple weeks before the 2005 Rumble. Do you remember the Kane and Snitsky program?
Oh, Kick the Baby.
Yeah, Kick the Baby. They were brawling and they like did the big like stage dive. The big yeah. That was one of many moments that like roped me in. Was that era of Kane. Cuz I was terrified. I was terrified of Kane as a kid.
I remember
he scared the absolute shit out of me.
I remember genuinely believing at one point they were brothers and that the parents were really murdered and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god.
There's one. How did you feel when you first found out wrestling was scripted?
You know, I think for me, it was... I almost feel like it came to me around... I do remember this. I first found out because I got to witness it in person with my own eyes. So when I was a kid, my dad is a elevator maintenance worker. He maintains elevators and shit. And one of the arenas around here is now called the Appalachian Wireless Arena. At the time was the Expo Center. He would maintain their elevators, and because of that, and because of their contract with them, he got deals on any event of any kind, concerts, wrestling shows, anything of that came through. He got a sweet deal on him, so he would take me to all these wrestling shows that would show up at Expo. And TNA ran that arena a lot back then. This was like 2006.
Why am I not surprised that TNA broke the wall for you?
So I remember this was the only time I have ever gotten to go backstage. It was before the show even started. We got there, and we weren't in the building 5 minutes before one of my dad's old buddies that used to work there and kind of just, you know, he would always make sure we got sort of the best seats and the best experience. He said, "Hey man, a elevator is messing up back here. You come take a look."
Yeah.
So we got to go backstage, and just huddled in a corner, I see, I want to say I saw fucking Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, Scott Steiner, and I can't remember who else was all there. Maybe like No, Rhino wouldn't have been there. I was
for-
hoping Rhino would be there. I even bought like a Rhino shirt, but he wasn't there.
Was this around about the time they were doing the whole mafia gimmick?
Might have been.
Yes.
And then yeah, just like I just saw everyone just like walking around and like just being like normal people, and I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. So I'll reverse that on you. What was it for you? What was your
I was
moment?
heartbroken. I was absolutely heartbroken because when I was little, I was a little cunt, and I loved watching real bare knuckle fights. Kimbo Slice was a favorite. The bum fights, anything that was real. And I always thought, oh my god, wrestling's real. Brilliant. I always thought, oh, wrestling's real. And then I can't remember when or what it was that I'm pretty sure someone told me it was fake, and I didn't believe them for a long time. And then eventually I got older, I realized, yeah, it's scripted.
Yeah, because there's some things you don't pick up on as a child, but then
yeah, like Santa Claus,
you
Easter
get
Bunny,
older and you start to see certain things. That's like,
yeah, but I was genuinely heartbroken for a little while.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? And then I think it was like an hour later, ODB threw her sweaty titty rag on me. Great times.
Ruby sweat.
Yeah. I still remember actually my first live show. It was a Raw house show in Huntington, West Virginia. And I remember Chris Benoit almost killed himself in a match with Snitsky.
Well, first time
he did one of those I think he did a dive similar to this on a SmackDown show where like he dived out but then like went too far and then just fucking crashed and burned like a goddamn missile into one of the rails. And no, it was a tables match. And like he went head first through the damn table. Yeah, it was brutal. Then this was during the Edge and Kane and Lita stuff. Also,
I met them. I met Edge and Lita.
Oh yeah?
Lita kissed me.
Oh, you lucky motherfucker. Oh, I'm jealous. I am infinitely jealous.
A lot of people
I have a picture somewhere. I'll have to go back and find it, but I was a mega fan.
I was born a few days after the first
to an extent
WrestleMania.
of Shane Helms.
I
Specifically, as a kid, Hurricane was my fucking hero.
I was going to say Shane Helms or the Hurricane.
Yes, at the time it was Hurricane, but now I can just say just him in general. But Hurricane specifically, and I remember the two things I bought at the merch stand was a Batista shirt and a Hurricane mask. And
Nice.
Hurricane and Rosie were at the show. They were tag team champions at the time. I think they were fighting La Resistance. They beat them, and then we weren't at the rail, but the match was over, and they were, like doing like the whole, slapping hands and everything. And then my dad nudged me, was like, "Hey, fight your way over to the rails. Go over there. I get through there, and Hurricane just so happens to take notice of little old me with my mask on, and he comes up and he like just sort of grabs onto my hands, like, "Good shit, kid."
Nice.
And my dad got the picture of it. It's around somewhere. I'll have to find it.
That's the one I played a lot of.
I remember meeting Batista one time. It was 2000. I was in the last year of school, 2008, and I decided I wasn't going to go to school that day because Batista was doing autographs. So me and my friend Tony decided to go and wait in line for 3 hours just to meet Batista, and my friend Tony was right in front of me, and I seen this as it happened. He walked up, he shook Batista's hand, and as he went to give him the permanent marker, he went and flipped the permanent marker, marking Batista's lovely plain white shirt with permanent fucking marker. He did not look happy. I asked for a picture afterwards, and no.
Oh no. Oh no.
So it was with that 2004, 5, 6. It was 2007 actually, because it was leading up to WrestleMania, I believe, 23 when he faced Taker.
Yeah, that was 23. Yeah.
It was before WrestleMania 23, and I remember asking him, "Oh, are you going to beat the Undertaker?" And he was like, "We'll see." That was it.
Oh man. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's amazing. So now we get to the fun stuff, the introduction into the Fed world. How did that happen for you?
Should we get into why I got into it?
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
want the why?
Let's go
Why?
there.
Where? Who?
The everything stuff. Let's just break into it.
Oh, nice.
Well, when I was a teenager, I was a
We
really
had
short,
early
fat
in-house
piece of
pay-per-view not
shit.
far
I
from
was
here,
I was massive. I
but
was
not
big.
in my hometown.
And I got bullied a lot in school. Seven Belly Dan, they used to call me.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Dan Seven Chins. I don't know why seven. Everyone picked the number seven, but hey, maybe they counted. Maybe I did have seven chins. But I got depressed, like suicidal thoughts no kid should ever fucking have. And I was also angry at the time. ADHD.
That's
and I needed something
not
to.
my own fault. I have loud enough for me to hear it.
I needed an outlet, but I needed to do it away from real people because, to be quite frank, people got scared. And I found Habbo Hotel. And if you don't know what Habbo Hotel is, guys, it's
Should it be lower?
a children's social media networking site where you can create rooms. And I found wrestling rooms on there, and people would pretend to be wrestlers. And they'd just type out every move they want to do. They'd type out storylines.
Yeah, well, we had in your house a local
16th of
a local venue for me.
16th of July 2006 was my first day. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
And I was that silly that in 2006 I named the account Dan Baldwin 2008. But yeah, I started there. I built my own room there. I actually started my own Fed eventually. And then Facebook was introduced to me.
I have a lot of memories from wrestling.
And then I transitioned over.
But
because when I transitioned over to
they used to come around my area a lot more back earlier in my life.
Quizzing.
Okay.
So you would promo like you normally would, but then when it came time to do the match, you would both have to be online at the same time. The referee, who would be a member of management, an admin or moderator, they would make the post DJB versus, let's say, TJ Blair, first to 10 points. And they would, in the comment section, they'd type question 1, and the first person to get the question got a point. Next person, next question, and the first person at 10 points wins, and then you typed the ending of the match, how the match would end, the finish. And that was my first Facebook introduction. So that's how I know silly knowledge like British Bulldog hitting a garbage can over Stephanie's head.
That's fascinating. We had talked earlier about all the different variants of EFED out there. Never once did a quiz game ever pop into my mind that could be a way for it to take shape. That's interesting. I remember.
It's funny because the Fed I was in, PWL, this quizzing Fed, was ran by a guy who is currently an NXT superstar.
One of the last shows I went to WWE.
He's the one who got the tattoo on his chin. He ran the group. He was the owner, and he was my first.
Well, not last, but what I remember very vividly was during the Attitude Era.
He used to go by the name
had
House. But there would
Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, China was there. Pretty much the only person from that era that wasn't there was The Rock. We had Undertaker and Kane. We even had DOA there. Then they filmed a bunch of. They filmed a lot of stuff. They had a really long show, and they filmed a bunch of superstars appearances. This is actually even pre-NWO, so not actually full-on Attitude Era yet. No, sorry, that's the time before I'm thinking of. When they had filmed the superstars. This one wasn't.
really.
The one that had filmed Superstars for had like Razor Ramon, Diesel, Bret Hart.
I don't really know how I feel about that.
Pre WCW run for
You
that.
know, kind of a thing. Like I was not very confident in my physical
Fuck it, I'm
performance.
gonna do this whatever.
So I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about that. So I would like.
Some of the best fights I've ever gotten though have been going to indie shows.
And recorded like one of the promo cutscenes and would just like dub over it with my voice. That's how I do it. And I remember how the shows would go. It was basically almost it was like you would both people in the match would write out what move they wanted to do, and then they would pick a number between 1 and 10, and
crappy
then
start.
a dice would be rolled. Whichever number it landed on that was closest to the number, whichever was closest to the number you picked, determined whether or not you were going to hit.
What country are you in?
And it went, I guess, sort of like a pseudo life bar sort of thing, where it's like once
like
enough things. Do what?
D&D fed.
Yeah, that's basically kind of what it was. Yeah. And I was just like, at the time, I didn't like. Oh, this shit's too complicated for me, dog. I don't want anything to do with this. I couldn't.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I'm like, this shit's too much to try to keep up with, man. No thanks. Yeah.
Damn.
And
Wow.
you know, it was basically just like you had to call when you were going for a pin, and you had to keep up with, because I think it would like. They would say the moves, go through like the whole like, you know, roll the dice and all that, and then they would state what the, I guess, damage level was of each person. You had to keep up with that and keep up where you could go for a pin at. If you weren't keeping up, you could end up screwing yourself over. Like it was a lot to pay attention to.
Oh no!
In Habbo Hotel, when you went for a pin, you had to type pin, then separately 1 and separately 2. But if your opponent typed the word kick out before you got to 3, they'd kick out.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about the PlayStation Home stuff earlier. Trying to like type all that out on the PlayStation controllers on that keyboard at the time was like, there was, because how they would do it is where like the one that I did stuff in was like you had to put the you had to put whatever it was in between asterisks.
Yes.
So you had to type those out, and then whatever you were trying to go for, and you had to type it before the other person finished typing whatever they were going to do, or else they got to move, and you were just fucked.
Yeah.
Swap her out.
So
We'll take Oscar.
fun times.
And
I can go. Hey, shall I just go in chronological order?
I'll probably throw her away.
Go for it.
So after the quizzing group, there was a guy there called Ty Real.
I'll throw Carmelo away.
He actually introduced me to my first video written fed, which was the one I currently own, GWF. And I've been there for however long it is now, 15 years or something like that. But because of the people in GWF, I found out that
that happened a long time ago.
Fucking humongous. All of these different groups, different people, different forms of life from all over the world doing this shit. I honestly thought it was like a select group of people, maybe 40 or 50 people in the world doing this. And then I found out it was like 40 or 50,000 doing this.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing whenever you realize just how big this world is that you're trying to break into. You know, it was like that with me. It wasn't. I don't think it was nearly as severe on the Twitter 2K side. Whenever I started like finding out who all was around, like I knew like, okay, this is bigger than I thought it was, but it was like still. I thought, okay, this is still like manageable. Because like there was a lot of people trying to do stuff, but not everyone got a shot. Only a select few people got a shot. Whenever I started getting into like the Facebook side, I was almost overwhelmed with how massive it is on Facebook. My first video fed was something that me and two of my friends started, and they talked me into coming into, I guess. They wanted me to come in to participate and help them judge.
All right.
I don't really know why, because I had no experience judging ever. But I'm
This is a really bad
yeah,
start for
they
me.
just needed bodies.
Yeah.
We were rookies. We were rookies with no idea what we were doing, and got in there, started like recruiting people, and then I don't remember what this other fed was called, but it was this other video fed.
Stinky.
They went to go recruit this guy who had this fed, and he said, "I'll do you one better. I'll come in, and I'll bring everyone in my fed with me." So we went from being like this group of nobodies with like 3 or 4 people to all of a sudden having like 200 people on the page.
Very nice.
I don't remember if I told this on the Casey episode. I know I told it to Anton. People are
Nice.
sick of me repeating stories, but it's not really my stories people are here for. They're here for the other person's stories. So I don't care. Our first SWA card, the main event was between this guy called Hollywood Cream and this girl called Nicole Mackley. Now, both of them on their own were actually really good. I feel like if the Nicole Mackley chick, if she had stuck around, I'm telling you, she would have been big in the community. She was good. And she was only like, at this time, she was only like 15, 16 years old. And was like, crazy good.
Damn.
We had someone on here a week or so ago that was doing something similar.
I was
He fought
watching and
hard
writing
for the number 1 overall spot.
and then they
I
started
ended up
doing
losing
that,
it last day.
and
Just couldn't keep up.
Cream starts making a bunch of very odd comments towards a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And we go to him and we're like, "Hey, so maybe don't get all weird and sexual with someone that young, even if it's just an in-character thing. That's still kind of a line." And he went off. Started like cussing us out, saying, "Why the fuck y'all have goddamn kids in this shit, huh? Like what the fuck is up with that? Y'all
It
bullshit."
makes a difference. It stays when somebody beats you.
Him off.
If they get a better point score than you do, then
The head guy
they'll surpass you.
also got pissed.
Ooh.
And then he left. Him and, let's see, I think his name was Rex Luger.
Rex Luger.
So Luger and Cream left. So then we thought, well, they left. Everyone else is probably going to go with them. So then all like 200 something people that came with them, we just went and kicked them all out.
That must have took some.
Yeah, it took a good hot minute to get that done. So then we made it. We even with like, by the time that happened, we ended up we had a dog shit roster. We only had 6 people by the time it was done. We made it like 3 cards, and then it fell apart. But
Fuck.
crazy shit. But yeah, that was like the first notice of like, holy shit, this is big. And then when I had taken a break from video for like, that was like early 2018, then I started getting back into it in like May that year, and that's when I got recruited to IW, and then it just got, and then that's when I know, but that's when it got even bigger, because
Damn it.
in 2018 there was so many people in IW.
Oh, bad luck.
Different pages, all with full active rosters.
Alpha,
like-
Omega, and what was the other one? Riot.
Delta. No, Delta.
Oh, Delta. And
And
then
I think, yeah, Riots was, let's see. I know Riots had come on at some point after Delta, but it was also before it for a time. Like I think I remember they had done it in like the early days,
Yeah.
stopped it, and then brought it back a few years later. But I get in there and there's just so much going on. I'm like, how big is this shit?
So many people.
Yeah, it was just fucking crazy.
But IW is one of those places I eventually found my way to. Now, I just want to clarify for everybody, I do not hate IW. I don't like David Jones. That's it.
Fair enough.
And if anybody wants to know why, I'm not going to reveal it on stream. Ask me in Messenger, and I'll gladly tell you why.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I've been all over.
I think I do remember what it was though. I believe I remember it. Because I was there at the time that all that shit started going down.
It's history.
Yeah, it is very much so.
Undertaker, Tombstone, and Kane, kind of perfect.
So
I'm trying to think what came after, because GWF, I'm still there, but that's where it started. There's, like I said, there's that many feds. Thinking of which ones came in order, I mean, I could name a lot of feds, like, and things, feds you'll have never heard of, MWF, I don't know if you're in there, actually, you might be in there. MWF, Wrestling Federation?
I don't think I'm in there, no.
No? I mean, there will be other ones you will have heard of, like, FTW, Full Tilt Wrestling. I know it's
I've heard of that
been
one.
around for a long time, but
I've never done anything there, but I've heard of it.
it's okay.
Damn.
I'm trying to think. That many. Eventually, it all just becomes lots of numbers and letters floating around in my head.
I think I'm
there was
Elizabeth
one
one.
that a friend of mine was in, called. There was one called NCW. I think it was Neo Championship.
Oh, I might
Neo
actually
Championship,
have
there was another one, BCW, Bionic Championship Wrestling. Fuck, so many.
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking feds out there.
You can see which ones are the big ones and which ones are the small ones. Evident. You've got the small feds like Filipino Championship Wrestling, and then you put that on terms of alongside IW, and one is clearly superior than the other.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't put people off going to these smaller feds, because if you think about it, these smaller feds, they want people to stay there. They're going to dedicate more time to you and your character, especially if you are a good worker. They're going to want that because it draws people in.
Yeah, and like even a fed as big as an IW or an XWE or something, they started small too.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's like, who knows, this insert dummy fed here that's like, you know, a bumfuck championship wrestling has like 20 people and only 10 of them are active, and 90% of people are going to look at it and say, this place is fucking trash. Yeah. But then who knows, in like a year or two from now it could boom. You just never know. This shit's unpredictable.
Last year, a year ago, I didn't know who the likes of Elite Markets Fantasy Wrestling, Foundation.
I only just recently found out about it through
Heart and Soul Promotions.
I only found out about like those two and like through Lee recently.
Yeah, same here. And they've been around a while, but they keep themselves, I don't want to say secluded, but they kept themselves kind of walled off to the rest of the community. I think it's only recently that they have started to expand. A few notable people from there, like Hollywood Haywood and A-List Alberson, you see them in other places now.
Yeah.
I love A-List Alberson. So cool.
Yeah, I've been seeing some of his stuff recently. He's got something interesting about him. He's definitely.
So
I think he can go somewhere.
Back in my early days as well, I wasn't in any judged or comp feds. It was all predetermined. It was all storyline. My first comp fed was OEW.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. My first judged comp fed was OEW, where someone actually sat down, looked at my videos, and judged them. Up until then, it was just right. This is what's going to happen. You're going to win this match, you're going to lose this match, and then in 2 months' time, you're going to be champion. Okay, cool.
Epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have. Let's see. We had done and I brought up
Okay,
STV,
so
we
on
had done
that.
like a judged format, but it was the case. None of us really knew what we were doing. My first real dive into the like judged comp world was probably when Agon was a thing in IW. I don't know if you were around for that one.
I was a spectator, but I wasn't a competitor there.
Yeah, I had tried it out, and I was. I can't keep that energy.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where I'm like, I could maybe do 1 or 2 months apart. I like.
Tim Watch just keeps getting stronger and stronger every match.
Lee has to go through with these fucking EWN championship promos that he's putting out, and I'm like, bro, I could not. Because I listened to him sort of describe his mindset of saying, like, every one of these promos, he feels the need to up the ante and surpass himself. Because you're not just, you're not just judging based on, like, in his perspective, like, he's not just expecting it to be judged based on just that work alone. It's being compared to everything that came before it. And I feel like, oh, fuck, that's exactly what I would think in that moment.
I think
I would always feel the need
Lee,
to just go up and
every match for Lee is like a handicap match because he's not only competing with someone in the ring or someone promoing, he's competing with himself, trying to outdo him.
Yeah.
And I do get that. I do, especially in judged competition. You want to put out something better than the last, otherwise people might start thinking, he's slipping, now's my chance to strike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the biggest reasons I stayed away for comp for so long was because I got to see a lot of the, I guess, bad side for a period. A lot of people who would not take losing very well and would just raise 10 layers of hell over it, and I'm like, oh god, I could not handle these fucking egos. And then you got the ones who would win a lot more than they lost, or just never lost, and they'd never shut the fuck up about how they're the greatest thing in the world, and you should be lucky to even be able to talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, like, you've got to have an ego to be an E-Fed, but when you get people who are so inflated, when their ego's that inflated.
Alright, well, I'm taking a beer back. I'm gonna get some food.
Look like a friendly
Actually, no, I think I'm gonna call this towards the end. Gonna leave the end of the podcast on, and then
more stories. There's 17, 18
finish
years
off.
stories.
So anyway, I'm done. Thank you for watching.
I've said
Enjoy the end.
very bad words.
Check these guys out. And I'll return tomorrow.
Grant wasn't the first.
Ooh. Okay.
It's been said for a while. That's a good thing as well. Not a good thing. A good point to bring up. I think certain people can get away with it, and not to say they can get away with saying it. I mean, so when Grant, that whole thing came out about him, not as many people were angry at Grant than they would be if someone like Radio Demon or Shane Garrison or some jobber said the word.
Yeah.
If they'd said it, they'd be pouncing on him, constantly getting him blacklisted. I do believe it is all down to popularity, how people take it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think if you're someone who's built up a lot of goodwill and credit over the years, and someone who has like been like kind of on a somewhat more consistent level like he's been, then you can probably get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
You're given more leeway because I guess you've got more trust built up. If you're someone who's just like unknown, then
just there.
Then you don't stand a chance. You better be on your best fucking behavior.
And again,
That's a big reason why I just didn't talk to anybody for. I'd say in like the last 6 months is when I really actually started branching out and trying to, connect with people. Because I refused to really have anything to do with anyone. So, the first person to really latch themselves to me whenever I made the full jump to video was Jack Arson. Yeah. That was the very first person that I got to experience on a full bore basis. And it was a time.
All got to start somewhere.
Yeah, we all got to start somewhere. So, it
Jack
kind of, yeah. So
Whatever
I
happened
got
to good old Gary?
you know, the last time I ever heard from him was about, I want to say, 2 years ago. He had, I think he had like relapsed again or something and went away. But he had tried to call me up one time from the place he was staying at, and someone else was in the room, and then they just started bitching him out for being loud. And then he got off the phone, and I never heard from him again.
Damn.
Yeah, that's been about 2 years ago. And I wouldn't mind it to go for a couple hundred more. The reason why is not something I feel is appropriate for on-air conversation.
After finding all of these different feds, one of the last kind of feds I found actually was 2K feds, and
okay,
that was only a couple of years ago. I found 2K feds, and that was thanks to one of my good friends, Rob Roman, over in NEW. That was his place. And I thought that concept was so amazing, so great, so fucking genius that I decided to turn GWF into a 2K Fed as well. And it has been ever since.
Yeah, the 2K stuff is a lot of it's depending on how you do it, it can be a lot of work. But it is so if everything goes exactly the way you want it to, then it's perfect. Because now we're getting into my field of serious expertise. I'm going on like 5.5 years in video, but I had like almost 10 in 2K uninterrupted.
You might be able to answer something for me then.
Okay.
In 2K, ever since they added, the highlight reel, in-game highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
If I capture footage from that, how the fuck do I capture the audio that goes with it?
You don't.
I can't have a silent match.
Okay, so, well, there's ways to get around it. Basically, one way I tried, which is a lot of work, is whenever you go to record, you just whenever you go to start the match, you just record as soon as you start the match. Record everything, the raw footage and the highlight reel together. And then you edit it. Then you edit it twice. You edit the raw match, you edit the highlight reels, then you put it all together.
Yeah.
That was a pain in the ass. Another way, which I would argue is even more of a pain in the ass, your own custom sound effects.
Oh, fuck.
The way I would do it was admittedly the lazier way of it. Mostly what I would do is I would go in and I would put in like a crowd noise effect mixed with like a punch or kick sound effect, or when someone got slammed, I'd do the mat slam, edit in a ref count noise. There are people in the Twitter 2K side who will go so far as to record the sound of the footsteps on the map as they're walking. Every time they walking or running, sound effect of hitting the ropes, voice acting. There are people who will go out of their way to try to make a full-fledged production.
Damn.
And the one time I tried that, my last 2K Fed that I ran was called VTW, and I tried that. I tried that full-scale production, full highlight reel, full sound effects, everything. And I have never tried a 2K Fed again ever since. It burned me out that bad. I have never recovered from that because it was so much work. And because I even attempted it, I feel this pressure that that's what people are going to expect from me now because I've shown that I can do this. I've shown that I can do this thing. So now if I don't, it's gonna reflect negatively on me. And so every time I have attempted to maybe get back into it, I'll get in and I'll go and like record some matches, and because it's not that way, I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna fly. This isn't good. This sucks. And then I just leave it behind. Maybe one day I'll break that, but today's not that day. But the 2K world is a crazy world with its own whole like the Twitter side specifically is just a whole other bag of worms. I would argue, like, we've seen a lot of bad shit on this side of the community. I've seen even more from Twitter.
I need to see some of these.
Even more stuff, even worse stuff. Like,
I can think of a show that would love to cover Twitter feds. They just recently covered TikTok feds.
Oh boy, I think yeah, it would be something. Maybe I'll track some of these old things down and send some of it to you.
Yes, please.
Because and actually, I could even find you some that has me performing commentary.
Oh, yes, please.
Because whenever I was mostly active in the 2K side, I wasn't really known for like a wrestler character. I was known as either the guy running a show or as a commentator. I was a commentary guy. So a lot of shows that were going on in like the I want to say specifically in the 2K18 era, you will more than likely hear my voice on. For like an hour to 2 hours plus.
Nice. I'm gonna have to find
just screaming my head off into a microphone. But yeah, I'll have to track some of that old stuff down.
What do you think about?
No, okay. There's okay. In terms of like, if we're talking like stuff that would be good for After Dark coverage, I can think of one right now that I need to send you guys because there is so much shit I could say about it. It was called ESW Extreme Slam Wrestling. At one point,
I'm not gonna lie, it rings a bell. It might be another company. It rings a bell because I'm not on Twitter. So.
Yeah. The top babyface of the promotion was a doctor. The world champion was a cyborg. Their Money in the Bank winner was a furry.
Oh God. Are we sure Phil didn't run this fed?
No, unless he was like the shadow figure behind it. Because I spoke to the owner of it from time to time. There's one of my buddies from back then who has occasionally jumped into the Facebook side of things, but never really for long. We used to do dual commentary together, and he would also occasionally dabble in like ring announcing audio. And I remember one time, this was in the Skype era, when Skype was a thing. We had got on a call because he didn't have a way to record his audio for ring announcer clips. So I got on and said, okay, I've got a call recorder. I'll record your clips and send it to the guy so he can edit this. And I remember he got to this one match, and he had one of his mid-card titles was called the Universal Championship, and its champion was this guy who was basically, let's see, his name I think was the Evil Brute. He wore a bright ass green singlet, a green mask. Just basically he looked like a walking toxic sign. And he was the Universal Champion. So I'm recording this guy's audio for the ring announcing clip, and I'm listening to as he's reading off the notes he was given. So he goes, in this corner, from wherever he was from, weighing in at however much he weighed, he is the ESW Universal Champion, Dumbass!
Nice.
And his opponent, who was called Master Striker.
Oh, God.
And his opponent from blah, 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 weighing in at blah, 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 Master Bader.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. And we sat there and died over it for like a good 10-15 minutes. And then later on for ESW, we were supposed to do a commentary duo for it. And it was the show was so bad that halfway through it, we got so bored that I started out playing the, face play-by-play, and he was doing the heel color. Halfway through the show, we completely switched our roles, and I went heel and he went face halfway through the show. And we got fired. Well, let me rephrase that. My buddy got fired and I left in protest.
I've had a situation like that.
Oh, yeah?
Over an IW. My buddy said, if you kick DJB, I'm leaving too. Well, we were fired.
Woo! Relatability.
Oh, fun times. Fun times.
Man.
So, I was going to ask before, you see all these judged feds out there. What do you think about the whole purchasing real belts and sending them to people?
When I first saw, because we brought up OEW earlier, that was
I absolutely love real belts.
I remember, first place I had seen it was in OEW, and so far the only place I know that's ever done it. Well, they're doing another thing now, and they're doing the whole real belt thing. Bob.
Same company, basically.
Yeah, same company, just a different name. I think was it actually called Best of the Best, but I just prefer to call it Bob. Yeah, it's Bob. Hey, Bob. But I saw that, I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. But of course, my introduction to OEW was once again through Jack Arson, who had just caused a bit of controversy for not shipping a title back.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. Although he claimed that he was, but I don't know.
I'm sure he eventually did.
Yeah, he did. He did eventually. It just took him way longer than they expected him to take. So yeah, but I'm like,
there's a few places
when you're not dealing with, people who, will take advantage of the fact that they just got given a basically kind of a belt to hold on to for free. And then what is someone actually going to do if you don't give it back?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's be real, you could. That wouldn't hold up if you tried to like pursue action, I think. You gave it to them. You gave it to them.
It's funny you mention that because there was controversy once I got this.
Oh yeah.
So once I got this, OEW decided to close its doors. They were done, and we have video evidence as well of Daryl telling everyone who had the belts, currently held the belts, that they could keep the belts.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
So that's what happened. And then he decided to open up the company once again, and several of the champions who had the belts were like, "Well, look, we don't have the time to do this anymore. You said we could keep the belts. We're not doing it." And he tried to make a big deal out of it. Obviously, he failed, but
Yeah. Holy shit. That I didn't know. Because I might have been on break at that point. I don't know.
yeah. And then OEW as a group got deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the good work that people did. Some of my best work against Dylan Mason for this championship, all gone.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dylan Mason, one of the finest gentlemen I have ever had the pleasure of promoing against
Yeah,
and meeting,
he's a fun
actually.
one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you guys did
Yeah.
actually get to meet. I remember
yeah,
that.
I met
Yeah.
Dylan. Only for one
Yeah.
night, but worth it.
Greatest one night stand of your life?
Oh yes,
Absolutely.
I'll second greatest.
Okay,
I went to
who's
see,
the first?
I went to see Phil a few weeks back.
I mean, he is the fuck man.
He is the fuck man.
Yeah, like one or the other. You know, you can either have the fuck man or you can have the #1.
Yeah. I know I did promise 3 hours of content, but there are people arriving.
Okay.
So I don't know how long I've got.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll just
Fire me
kinda...
some questions. I want to shit on some
Alright.
people.
Well, I don't really have anything of that variety. Of like the opportunity to. Well, I don't know. I could probably come up with something off the top of my head. Let's see here. We'll do a little bit of rapid. Do you remember your first championship?
The GWF World Heavyweight Championship.
Okay, starting off big.
Yeah.
Big.
Within 3 months.
Okay. This one may or may not be a little more difficult. Do you remember your first big storyline?
Oh fuck. Big story.
Like it could be a title thing. It could be just like a.
Probably my first World Heavyweight Championship in GWF. It was. So after the first match I had there, from then on, the owner, the original owner who handed it over to me, decided I was really, really good. He liked having a British guy because back then there really wasn't a lot. And he wanted me as a champion, so he put me into a storyline. And that lasted a good 2.5 months with an American guy called Murphy Maddox was his name. And he was like a crazy, demented asylum. He was in an asylum. He was in a mental asylum, and he escaped, and he became a wrestler. And he was psychotic, and it was fun. That was my first introduction to dark characters too.
Oh wow, what a great introduction then. Let's see. Who would you say is probably your favorite person to work with?
Now or ever?
Both. Now and ever.
Ever? Mike Storm.
Okay.
It was.
He's
It was
someone.
the
He's
first.
someone I haven't really gotten much of a chance with just yet.
Well,
We
he lives.
almost did in pro, but it didn't
He
happen.
lives 10 minutes away from me, and we
No
have
shit.
met up. We've met up a couple of times. We've done some cross promos, but we still need to meet up and do a live promo together. But we had a storyline in Rob Roman's Fed NEW where I invaded his home and shit in all of his rooms so badly that he got on his bicycle, filmed himself riding along the street, still smelling my shit, so bad he collapsed onto the ground and he threw himself onto the ground for the sake of the promo. It was so fun.
Oh my
It
god.
was so fun.
Oh shit. I love
But
that.
if I could choose someone to work with right now, like if I could get into a storyline with someone today, it would be probably Bison or Phil. Because of the history there, I think we could work some good magic.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to see either one of them because Phil's someone I don't get to experience very often in this capacity because he really doesn't. I'm not really sure if he's even like that active.
So Phil is a one-fed guy. He doesn't like
Uh-huh.
to be in multiple places at once. He likes to just be in one place. He might do special tournaments, like the Diamond Dave Classic over in the SWA or the World Cup or things like that. But as far as feds, he's normally just a one-fed guy. So
Yeah, I know he had told me that at one point, and I'm like, okay. But yeah, he's someone that whenever I do get a chance to see him like do something somewhere, whenever he does kind of step out of that shadow for a few minutes, I drink that shit in because I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I don't know when I'm gonna get this opportunity again.
Phil, he's fantastic.
And then Bison for me is someone that we've done a little bit together, but there is still a lot of room. And you and I just recently did a little something together, and there's still definitely more room for that to go on.
There is.
There is plenty more opportunity to really go somewhere deeper with that, and I look forward to that possibility someday.
Yeah. I like storyline stuff. I like the
Yes.
creative aspect.
Oh yeah, great shit.
I'm gonna give you one more,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna go and beat some kids.
Sounds like some fun.
Yeah. We here don't endorse child abuse. We do, however, find it hilarious. Happy 420. Last question. Make it a good one.
Let's see here. Okay. This is the only one that really kind of stands out to me. Who are some of your favorite people to sort of keep an eye on and watch? Like who are people that keep your attention?
Definitely Dylan Mason. It doesn't matter where that guy is. He's always entertaining, and you don't know which version of Dylan you're gonna get.
No.
Obviously you've got the big names like Phil and fucking Bison, Grant as well. Now I was upset because Grant started the Grantiverse series and he never continued it. Bad Grant, if you ever see this. People to watch. You see, there's so many unknowns as well who do put on some fantastic work. Some really there's a guy over in SWA. To watch his promos, you wouldn't see him as a great guy, but I think he's absolutely hilarious. So does Grant. So does I think Phil might as well. He's his ring name is the Blackjack Cowboy, Joshua Farrell. He's fantastic. He's fantastic.
I might have to go search him out.
I like watching Monique Dunn. You know, Panther.
Yeah. The Panther.
Yep, I think she is fucking brilliant. So entertaining.
Yes. Yeah.
Josh Baez. No matter what you think of Josh Baez, love him.
Yeah, I will say it's like when that's someone that I hope I sort of get another chance to do something with because we had a chance recently and for reasons it didn't really go the way I think either of us really wanted it to go. So hopefully I'll get a chance to run that back sometime.
I like watching you. Yeah. I like watching you as well.
And I can say the same. For me and you. No, I actually hate watching my shit back.
Me too, but I have to do it so often. It's
Yeah.
E-Fed takes the depression away. Watching my own promos brings it back.
That's put that on a shirt.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, actually. All right. Well, I think that's a good spot to go. I feel like we covered a lot, even though this might be the shortest one yet, technically.
Well, I'm gonna be here for a while, so
Remember, yes, this was a shorter episode than what I've done. One that was almost a full hour and a half, one that went over 2 hours. Yeah, this one was shorter, but this beautiful bastard is gonna be around for a while.
Plus, there's going to be times where the guests are going to say something, and I'm going to remember something from my past. I'm going to be like, oh, I remember this time I did that.
Yeah, like me here during literally every show I've done so far. I'll remember something and just need to interject. That's probably going to happen a lot. So we'll have a lot more time here.
Can I give a quick shout out?
Go for it.
First shout out, all of the After Dark guys, every single one of you. Second shout out, all the Shooting Shite guys, every single one of you. But the third and most important shout out, if any of you are over in the SWA, we're holding a Diamond Dave Classic tournament for Diamond Dave, rest in peace, may God rest his soul. And so there are, I believe, 32, maybe 36 actually, competitors. We've just posted the rankings and who people are going to face, the brackets, and that is set to begin, I believe, May 7th. And there's going to be names like, there's going to be me, Phil's in it, Grant's in it, other big names you'll have heard of, but we're the more important ones. If you get a chance, watch it.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good one. I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on that, and I encourage everyone else to do the same, because that's an important thing.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, so I'm glad we got to do this one, and look forward to seeing you on the next show. Where
I look forward to asking people.
Now, where as far as I know, I'll just go ahead and announce it now. I'll announce the next episodes at the end of each episode going forward, starting right now. Episode 4 will feature the leader, creator, innovator of the ultraviolet movement, Casey Moran.
Oh,
yes. So look forward to seeing you there.
Yes, I'm going to think of some questions for Casey.
Okay, awesome. I knew it was a good idea to bring you on.
I like Casey.
Right.
Well. That's going to be fun.
Good guy. Yeah, it is. But thanks for coming on, and look forward to working with you more in the future.
Me too, man.
All right, and thanks to everyone for watching this episode of Unplugged, and we'll see you next time. Later.
Bye.
If you're someone who has some history or some stories in the EFED community that you would like to talk about on a platform, well, I've got the place for you right here on the Unplugged podcast. Just hit me up and we will schedule a show just for you. As always, thank you for watching and listening, and I will talk to all of you later on.